keeping Joe Biden and Chuck Schumer, the gerontocracy in power. Was that the party line?
Actually, there was controversy around that too. Well, every time you're going to point out an issue where there's controversy, I'm going to point out that there's controversy. And
there's
so
controversy around every that's the nature of politics. There's controversy around every single
unanimous
topic.
Political.
You're making these claims, these broad claims that the author of the article herself refutes. She never said this. Just straight up, period.
You're fucking lying right now. Are you retarded?
Okay,
are you genuinely retarded?
If you really want to do your like nuh-uh argument, go for it. But that is the
If you want to see more content like this, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel and follow me on Instagram and TikTok at Rinyald. And if you disagree with anything in the video, make sure you join the Discord and we can have a chat sometime.
We got places to be, things to do. Let's start this shit show, okay?
We're having a good time. We're having a good time, Wick.
So far, so good. Okay. Welcome, one and all, to yet another episode of Wick TV. It's a cross-ideological space where we come together to talk about issues both political and cultural, from the silly to the serious. Recently, an article was published in Wired by Taylor Lorenz, accusing a group by Brian Tyler Cohen called Chorus from taking dark money. A lot of people have run with this story and accused Chorus of keeping its members from talking about Gaza, of controlling their content. And the question becomes, how accurate is this article? Is dark money something we should be concerned about? And when should we be concerned about it? And just in general, is Chorus, or something like Chorus, something that the Democrats should be doing? Or is it something we should probably stay away from? Okay, we've got a great lineup for you guys today. We're going to start with Dickers. Dickers, tell people who you are and what are your thoughts. Go ahead.
I'm Dickers. I'm kind of like, I guess, moderate leftist. Usually I do like drama commentary or trending topics coverage. My thoughts on it right now is dark money just seems to be the way of the world with how politics is going, especially after Supreme Court decision with the whole Citizens United thing. It seems to be the way of the world. However, it still doesn't mean that we can exclude things like transparency, like levels of openness, at least if I were like using the money. More fundamentally, though, I think I have a strong critique of Chorus as itself, like how the organization is set up, than necessarily dark money itself. It seems to be the way of the world. So on that aspect, I don't really care too much, but yeah.
Okay, we'll get into it as we go. Thank you for being here. Fabian Liberty, thoughts?
Yep. I'm Fabian Liberty. You can find me on X, Twitter, Zitter, whatever the fuck you call it, and find me on YouTube as Fabian Liberty, or just Google me. You'll find me. It's fine. Just please don't follow me on Twitch. I haven't done a Twitch stream in like 2 years. Every time they do this. So I think overall, obviously, I'm going to be against dark money. I don't care if it's right wing. I don't care if it's left wing. I'm against the concept of it. I think that, principles matter. And more often than not, when I see people take this money, they do so against their principles. And there's a chilling effect that happens with speech and the way that narratives are controlled. And I think we're going to get into like a lot of nitpicky shit tonight. And so I want people to just think of this analogy as we're like getting lost in the weeds of like how many millions here, or, what was in the contract here, which is just imagine that I was going door to door in your neighborhood and I knocked on your door and I said, hey, I would like to offer you $200 so that I can cut your grass and wash your car. That's a great deal for you if I knock on your door. But everyone should be wondering, why the fuck are you paying this person so that you can render services for them? And if we're trying to hide behind non-disclosure agreements and contracts and things of that nature, that should concern us regardless of the political affiliation, that we don't know who is doing it and we don't know why they're doing it. And so, I would kind of agree with Dickers here that like transparency is the bigger fight right now on that.
Okay, well, thank you for being here, and I'm sure we'll get into it. Hutch, right-wing extremist Hutch, go ahead.
Hasbara Zionist.
True. My name is Hutch. Thanks for having me on the panel. I do think there are reasonable conversations to have about the level of transparency that should be expected in these kinds of programs. However, I think the much bigger story out of the last week is not even necessarily the article itself, but the surrounding discourse and the really insane narratives that started springing up. And I think, unfortunately, this article was used as sort of like a proxy war um, that is a part of a much larger dynamic going on right now, which is that you have this leftist media ecosystem that is very, very bloodthirsty right now. They feel emboldened for a number of reasons, and I think they just want to destroy anyone that doesn't fit their exact mold. And so that's more what I'm interested in talking about today. But yeah,
I'm sure we will get into it. Thank you for being here. Next up, Rinyald. Am I saying that right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm Rinyald. I do debates and stuff. I think that programs like Chorus are super important to kind of match the right wing's freak. If we live in a world where we can take half dark money, but only half of the political sides are doing it, it seems like there's no way to actually live in that kind of society. It doesn't seem like any particular allegations of illegality or strict content controls were made by the article, but a lot of people took the article and ran with it because of a lot of the super vague language in the article itself. I mean, there's a reason that the tagline was, all they have to do is keep it secret and agree to restrictions on their content, which seems like not that great of a characterization. We can have a discussion on disclosure, but I think doing it based off of a clearly misleading article with barely enough detail to ignore the wider conversation of people wildly, misrepresenting the article. I don't know. I don't see any reason to care that much if there's not super strict content controls.
Okay. Well, thank you for being here, and we will get into it. Next up, no stranger to my panel, Soy Pill.
You said that so foreboding. Hi, I'm the Soy Pill. You should go follow me on Twitch and TikTok so I can live stream from my browser. I had a bunch of panels on this. I've talked to Taylor Lorenz about it, and it seems to me that this article's through line, as per her, is that people should disclose more. However, the way that it is written and framed is that there's this secret dark money campaign to force people to say certain things and toe the party line. That is why all of these big left-wing accounts like Vanguard and Majority Report are running away with that narrative. I think that narrative is patently false. It is not even like proven in the article. It is implied, but I think that is where the article is misleading or is missing context. The idea that any of these people had to change their opinions for money is completely unfounded so far. I think that if that was the case, I would be against it. I think there's a very legitimate conversation to be had about whether or not we should disclose if we're getting money. But this was an incubator program. It wasn't even, the Democrats paying them. It was, hey, how can you make better content? I think that's totally fine. And I appreciate that Taylor has said that she's gone on some of these channels and corrected the allegations that people were kicked out if they said something bad about Israel or criticized Democrats, which is absolutely, definitely not true based on what we've seen. So I hope that we can clear the air here and realize that this is really a controversy or just slightly not so good.
Okay. Thank you for being here, and we'll get into it as we go. Last but certainly not least, Prime Guy.
Hey, everyone. Thank you for inviting me. Wick, always appreciate my good friend. And shout out to everyone who's joined us here today on the panel. Nice to meet you if I don't know you, and hi to you if I do know you. Anyway, so I've been saying for a long time that we need infrastructure on the left, and I think that this program seems to be providing that. So I'm not against the idea of the program. I am against not disclosing the program, people's involvement. There seems to be confusion as to exactly who disclosed what and when with their involvement, and like, did they necessarily disclose they're being paid? All these things. The exact details of all that is unclear to me myself. But like, if it is the case that people were hiding their affiliation rather than simply, disclosing it, and I don't think there's anything necessarily nefarious about this program on the face of it. Just let us know. But if you aren't, well, then we can't make that assessment, and that's the issue for me.
Okay. And with that, let's just get into it. The floor is open. If you have trouble getting in, yeah, but go ahead.
Can I ask a question? Right? Is everyone here has never said anything negative about Elon Musk or Peter Thiel or Koch brothers? you know, putting money into politics to change or, you know, to influence people to voting towards Republican candidates. Because like all of you guys just seem like very like, oh, this is fine. We need to fight on the left. We need to fund. We need to have better messaging, right? So like, I'm just curious. Do all of like, if we go through all of your content, you've never said anything bad about Koch brothers or Elon Musk or Peter Thiel or any right-wing donators, you know, buying elections or buying off politicians by giving them money. Like you guys have all been cool with that the whole time?
No, I think you could find that I'm very against buying elections, but you understand that money in politics can mean like 8,000 different things, and that's not a random number that just happened to be on my mind. You can, for
8,000, sure,
example,
yeah.
have the Koch brothers come in and buy election ads in a small election using their vast, disproportionate amount of money to influence, you know, some sort of what otherwise would be a ground campaign. That I don't super like, and especially if it is dark money. Dark money, for those of you who don't know, is money where you don't know where the donations are coming from, and I'm in principle against that. In this specific case, by the way, 1630, the fund that funded Chorus, is also against dark money, and they try to advocate for people who would make
We
it
don't
so
hold
all of
on.
their
We don't
donors
know
have to
that they
disclose.
funded Chorus. We don't know if they funded Chorus. Like they like from what I understand, 1630, because like I correct me if
it's
I'm wrong.
I think that's
but,
just factually
but
true.
they may have I think they may have handled their finances and then connected them with donors, but we don't know if they directly funded
My
They're,
understanding is
Chorus.
that
I mean,
they're,
it's
so, so they're
1630.
considered a financial, God, what was it? There
yeah,
was a
it's like it
particular
gets
phrase.
it's pretty. Yeah, okay, go ahead.
I don't think it really
Hutch, maybe
matters.
you know
The
better.
point is, money from 1630 or some sort of resources from 1630 are going to Chorus, and I don't think anyone's denying that. That's just kind of out in the open. The issue is we don't know
Yeah,
where the
I'm
money
just
is
trying to be
coming
very
from. That's why they
careful,
criticize.
right?
Sure, sure, sure,
That I'm
sure.
not being
So
accused of like attacking in like an improper way.
the point being that yeah, influencing like small elections or even larger elections using a disproportionate amount of money, I don't particularly like. However, being able to put money into politics to support something that you care about, like, hey, here's this person who's going to vote for something that I like. Here's $1 million, which people
So
sometimes
there's
see
so
is
there's nothing wrong
lobbying
with
or
the
buying
$288
elections.
million that Elon Musk pumped into the
I think there should
last
be caps on
election.
the amount of spending, but I'm just saying that like these are different
So there
things, and
should
the
be
way that you
caps. So
influence
like
this. That's just my opinion.
so
Yes.
so you would personally say that 1630 fund having like 141 million, 400 million next election, 196 the next election, or all of these other groups that are spending
So
tens
there's
of millions
two
is
things here.
wrong?
One, yeah, I would support their mission, which is we want to kind of like make ourselves not be a thing anymore. Although they are using the thing they're fighting against to do that, so it's like questionable. But what you're really looking into is they are a 501c, I think, not four, right? Because they're technically non-political. Versus, hey, you know, this whole thing was an incubator program to help out people get better at making content. Not I'm putting money directly into Donald Trump's campaign to help him win the election. I think those are very different things.
I think we can skip a lot of this part of the conversation because I think your framing is a bit silly because like you can be against big like dark money influences in politics and at the same time recognize that it's tactically stupid to unilaterally disarm. So like there's nothing incompatible about Democrats saying ideally we wouldn't have this type of money influencing politics, and at the same time recognizing that if Charlie Kirk's going to take in $80 million for TPUSA, like us just standing on virtue or principle and cutting ourselves off from that kind of funding, there's just no tactical way that you could really defend that. So
Yeah,
I
Yeah, it
feel the
just
same
means
way,
you're
Hutch, about it
pragmatic and
that
you
I
don't
do
have
about.
principles or any moral beliefs that you stand by.
no.
Like if
You
you're
can
okay
But
with,
I'll kill
if
someone
you're
in
saying
self-defense, like
the weapon of the enemy is bad, therefore I will pick up the weapon, but there's no self-defense claim here, right? If you're against the very weapon itself, then you can't say I'm against the weapon, but I choose to pick up the weapon anyways.
what's
hang
the
on.
point
Right?
of
It's
having a
contradictory.
principle if it's
Hold
an
on,
existential threat to your entire party and their morals?
one at a
Like,
time.
it
Let's
doesn't make any
get to
sense.
Well, it's
Hutch.
not really a principle then.
Wait,
No,
hang
it
on.
is.
Let's give it to Hutch. Let's give it to Hutch real quick. Go ahead.
Let's just like devise a hypothetical where you have this like small hunter gatherer group of 50 people or whatever, and there's guns exist in this world, but this group, they don't think that guns should like be a part of their society, but then another group comes and starts attacking them with guns. Would it be unprincipled for the 50 first people to like
Well, that's why
pick up
I
guns
use the analogy of saying it's not about the concept of self-defense, but it's about the concept of the guns themselves, right? So if you're against the guns and you say, I am a pacifist, I'm a pacifist, I'm a pacifist, I'm a pacifist, and then you get attacked and then you go, actually, I'm not really a pacifist. Let me grab the guns, right? Like
Fabian, would you eat a
like,
human being?
Would I eat a human being?
Yeah,
I
would
mean,
you
under
eat a
certain
human being?
circumstances, yeah, sure.
Oh, wait. So it's not a principle that you wouldn't eat a human being.
I never said that I had a principle that I wouldn't eat a human being.
So
Like,
you would eat a human being.
Well, isn't it
yeah,
implied
if
that
I'm
everybody
starving
else?
to death and they're dead,
Okay. Do you
like,
think?
yeah.
Isn't it
Yeah,
implied that
so
everybody
maybe
else's
there are like
principle?
extenuating circumstances to perhaps go against what would normally be your principles because otherwise you would die or something would be so threatened that it wouldn't matter that you held to your principle. Do you realize that's like a very easy concept to understand?
Do you think this? So when I'm pointing out what I believe is a likely, because I'm not intimately familiar with everyone on this panel's content, right? That's why I'm kind of like bringing it open to you. When I'm pointing out what I would say is a perceived likely contradiction, if you have issue with like right wing influencers or right wing people having transparent donations that are publicly known and available, right? So we're taking out the transparency issue here. How is that analogous to this to this concept of like how is that analogous to like cannibalism or self-defense?
So the
Like,
idea I
we're
was saying
saying,
with the
I'm saying,
cannibalism, which you can
are
say
you
it's just analogous,
against
and
it
that's fan.
then?
No,
Right.
that's fine. I'm just showing you that sometimes principles need to be violated for certain extenuating circumstances. And in this case, if I could show you, now this isn't necessarily true. I'm not asking you to believe this, but if dark money would be ended by electing Democrats, would you not use dark money to do that? Would that be unprincipled?
I mean, if your number one thing is I won't use dark money bad,
Well,
and
that's
then
no
you
one's
use
number one thing is I
Yeah.
won't use dark money in the
well,
Democratic
sure,
Party.
we're
That's
doing it.
a
We're doing
principle.
it. We're doing. Yeah, but that's fine. We're doing a univariate analysis based upon a
Okay.
principle, right?
I
Like,
do want to
so
give it to,
again,
to Prime
so
real quick.
you're attacking me
Well,
for
I can
engaging in
wait
your
till they're
analogy.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's so
Yeah.
stupid.
I don't know if they're
But
going to
no,
be done
like
as a thing.
Oh,
if
okay,
like
fair enough.
if you're a single issue voter and your single issue voting is I'm against dark money,
Well, that's
and
no
then
one's.
you
Yeah,
use dark,
okay, stop there because that's the
that's
hypothetical
your
that no
fucking
one is
hold on,
participating in.
okay. You're no like I think at this point like
Who is single issue
we should
dark
just
money?
move on. That's the analogy you're giving me is about whether or not we're
Okay,
for
Is
dark
your,
money
is
and
your
I'm gonna
using
single
throw
dark
flag
money.
on this
principle, I won't eat a
play.
This is
person? That's not
stupid.
my single principle.
It
I
is
I mean,
stupid.
you're
Let's give it to Prime
interrupting me
Kai. Let's see
because
if we can
I'm
get something
using
else
your
going on
analogy.
here. Prime Kai, please.
No, that's not why I'm interrupting.
Okay. All right. Well, uh, I'm familiar with Scott, and I know how he rolls, and how he said multiple times that he wouldn't steal $1 to save the world or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and he's been. I mean, he hasn't bent from this rule. To be clear, we haven't had an apocalypse that required him to pick up $1, but still,
Yeah.
that's what he
Wait,
Because
said
it's
the entire time.
Still,
Not
though,
yet.
you still wouldn't do it,
I would not steal a penny to save the world. Correct.
but you would.
Yeah.
But you would eat a person to live.
Yeah, a dead person's a dead person. I'm not a fucking Christian.
Okay,
or
I don't.
religious
I want to
spiritual
get back
person.
to chorus,
fucking
and I want to
meat.
get back to.
If I'm
I want to get
starving
back
to
to
death-
Insane,
specific.
dude. You wouldn't steal a
Okay,
person.
I don't. I'm not here to debate whether we should eat people. I'm here to debate chorus. We're gonna stick on chorus at least for the next 30 minutes if we
Okay, but
possibly
just to
can.
establish that we can
please.
move on.
I
From
I apologize. I apologize. I pointed out the left's hypocrisy.
because it's ridiculous to say, "Oh, you'd use dark money to end dark money." You hypocrite! It's like, would you steal a penny to save 8 billion people? No. Okay, well,
No.
shut the fuck
Well,
up.
okay,
Like,
okay. So,
One of us
all right,
is morally consistent.
Okay,
the other
I
is.
don't care. Brian Kai, please.
okay, and the difference here is a non-aggression principle, but you can talk about that later. Anyway, so Scott is familiar with my content, and I don't think maybe that shot was like at me, but still, I want to address the question he put forward. So I've been critical of billionaires putting money into politics the entire time, and I am also critical of this formulation, right? So I have two objections. One, on the lack of disclosure, the seeming lack of disclosure, and two, the fact that it's being funded by these unknown dark money billionaire donors. That doesn't really sit well with me. And my problem specifically, and other people might have different opinions on this. One, I don't think billionaires should exist. I think the problem with them putting money into politics is not necessarily just them putting money into politics, the act itself, but the fact they can put so much money into politics, that they have so much leverage, right, to speak in a way that the average individual can. So it'd be
Prime,
fine.
we don't know who they
because-
are. So how do we know they're billionaires? Okay, they could own $999 million. Okay, you don't know that they're billionaires because we don't know who the fuck they are.
Fabian,
I-
some
I-
of
well, I
these
mean, I
1630
agree.
people are billionaires who do disclose, even though they're not legally have to. So George Soros, Midyar, like there are some of these billionaires, and Elon Musk is just one. So he's just saying the principle is, I don't like that billionaires have this much influence.
Yeah, you don't have to
Yeah, yeah.
explain my joke to the audience. It's okay.
You're a libertarian. I can't tell when you're joking, dude. Sometimes you're saying something very
So,
serious.
so yeah. I think that us, as a panel, let's say we wanted to band together 7 of us on this stream, and decided to put out a political message, right? And we put together a meager funds to do so. I think we should be allowed to do that. That's fine. Well, I don't love money in politics, but still, like, I think it's fine to do that on this level. But that's a relatively even ground and a amount of money that most people can actually match. We can't match the leverage, the power of billionaires, right? They're on a completely, literally, exponentially, logarithmically different level than we are, and that's my issue.
Case, can I address that though? Because yes, I agree with what you're saying. I really don't like that billionaires have this undue influence. But this specific project was saying, hey, creators that don't have the influence of like a Charlie Kirk or these people who just have millions and millions and millions of dollars of donation, we want to give some of that billionaire money to you so that you do have a larger voice and can spread the message that says we want these billionaires out of politics, which I fully agree with. Even though
Where are
in
you getting
principle
that
I have
from?
the same principles.
Wait, just to be
Why do you
clear,
believe that to
is
be
it any
true? 'Cause, I
part
mean,
of
they're
like
funding-
Chorus's?
Yeah.
Give it to the British guy real quick, Dickers.
Yeah, I stopped.
Is it any part of Chorus's platform that they are against money in politics? Because I think this is what you seem to
1630's
like
platform
keep
is
saying
against
again
money
and
in
again and
politics.
again. Are they? I
Yeah,
don't believe
you could,
so.
You could look this up if you read the Wired article. I don't know if you read the article we're talking about.
That's fucking hilarious.
No, I did. It doesn't say anything about money in politics. It talks
You
about
should
economic
click on the
equity.
links when it says 1630 fund. I can send it to you in chat.
So it's not in the article, but
It's referenced directly in the article. Yeah, you can. So that's and one extra click. I'm sorry.
I just.
Okay, I'm just curious.
Of like
if you want to send me that, feel free.
Of like a
I'm
damn
sending
near
it in the group chat.
billion-dollar fund over the last 10 years.
It's not
like saying
ironic.
they want money out of politics.
It's not
It's
ironic.
not ironic
to
at all. It
people,
makes perfect sense.
wait. It's
Go
not
ahead.
ironic to people that don't take this absolutist view of principles. Like, I think you're the only one on the panel that has this view.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, also the only one on the panel that's like even like anywhere past center of right. So obviously, like deontological moral positions aren't really a thing on the left. Maybe you see it in some tanky spaces, right? But like for the most part, you're going to be utilitarians or consequentialists of some variety, right? So obviously, as the only person not left wing here, yeah, of course, I'm the only person on the panel that believes in strict moral principles as opposed to negotiating with our principles to use evil to defeat a bigger evil.
Well, I mean, the vast majority,
respectfully though,
the vast
Go
majority
ahead,
of the
go ahead.
right is probably going to be in favor of this kind of dark money too, right? I mean, like, we see a lot of right wing initiatives using the same exact business model. It's not that like a.
Yeah, no, I don't. I'm no fan of fucking Republicans.
Respectfully,
yeah, I agree.
I don't think the panel should get bogged down by like a meta ethics, debate. I think we should probably just like stick on the article and we can just
yeah, no, I mean like that. I mean,
can I just ask this?
fine,
Here,
but
maybe we'll get this
this
back
is a
on
moral
track.
question about this money in politics.
But
right?
it's also
that
a
is
question
the
about whether
debate.
or not the article was a fair article. Do we think, let me start with this question. Do we think that the article as written was an accurate and fair assessment of what is going on at Chorus? Why or why not?
I don't think you can say that. Like there could be particular things in the contract that were referenced that are, technically true. But what we discovered especially in like the 48 hours after the article was dropped and we heard, a bevy of responses from people in the program, it's just in practice, the way that program was working really did not look anything like what was described in that article, particularly the subheading. That I think was the most egregious sort of mischaracterization, because she said that these creators were secretly paid to push the party line. And that just appears to be just on its face, just not what was happening.
Well, also, I mean,
Why
like
do you disagree with that?
say, like, to agree to restrictions on their content absolutely plays into the idea that they can't talk about Gaza either. Like, I'm almost willing to bet that that's where a lot of those people got that impression.
They got
So
it from
why do you think
herself.
that's
like
inaccurate?
Taylor herself, she was tweeting you know, she like spoke with Destiny yesterday, and she denies. I mean, she even clarified that nothing in her reporting or nothing in her investigation gave her any kind of indication that people were prevented from talking about Gaza. But you know, like a few days before, she was tweeting out, "I can confirm that, you know, of the list that we saw, most of them are very centristy." So she was definitely like throwing red meat to like the lefty kind of media ecosystem, and boy,
Why
did
is that
they
inaccurate?
fucking
You
run
haven't
with
given
that.
any evidence to the claim that that's inaccurate. Why is that inaccurate?
I
Because
think
What do
I
you-
think they're
there's
pushing
one
it.
cohort making videos criticizing Israel and criticizing the Democratic Party.
I think it's a matter of
Okay,
framing
so-
and not so much a matter of like particular facts that were misrepresented. It's more so like the framing of it or the lack of detail that's given in certain
It was
areas.
disingenuous.
Okay,
Yeah.
maybe so like my read, right? And maybe you guys can then, so I'm not trying to get you to prove a negative, right? Like my read of it is when you are supporting people by giving them some level of funds, right? If we want to talk specifically about the incubator program where they're getting like somewhere between $250 and $8K, right? A month. Like if you're giving people money, and you're giving them presumed opportunities, and you're saying we're going to give you access, we're going to give you funds so that you can have a bigger platform and do more things, we're going to connect you with other people, and also we want you to sign this contract that says you're not really supposed to talk about it, and also you're supposed to, you know, coordinate messaging twice a month, or at least get trained in like the Democrats messaging, right?
No,
Twice a
no,
month.
no, no, no,
And
no.
also
That's not what it said.
That's not what it was.
Yeah.
okay,
That's not what that's not what her
is
article
inaccurate?
said. She even clarified that the DNC had nothing to do with this. So
Yeah. So
I
the
said
check-ins
DNC
that you're
talking about.
referencing.
I'm not saying literally the DNC. I'm talking about
So
the
the
program that
the
is
check-ins that you're
coordinating, the
referencing are
program that
check-ins
is
as
the program that is supporting these people, right? That is obviously has a message of their own, even if it's not direct party line, perfect messaging that the DNC wrote for them word for word, right? This is a program that is funded by neoliberals, you know, centrist left, you know, billionaires, because there's not leftist billionaires. They don't fucking exist, right? And
yeah,
so,
they
right, and so
absolutely
you
do, by
have
the
that
way.
messaging. Yeah,
There are, I
sure.
don't know. Well, I don't
It's a
leftist maybe not,
contradiction
but
of
sure.
Yeah,
right, like
I think
it's a
they're liberal
contradiction in of
billionaires, but
itself.
not
Sure,
leftist
sure, yeah,
billionaires.
yeah,
Right,
sure,
But yeah,
we're talking about
Okay,
liberals,
well,
sure, stakeholder capitalism, corporatist, socialist, neoliberal, whatever fucking term you want to use, right? But these are center left portion of the party. Maybe they have some progressive values on like healthcare or some shit. But we're talking about like leftist. If you have all of those things and you know that, okay, this is the messaging that my program that's paying me and giving me opportunities and I'm not supposed to talk about is putting out, how is that not having a chilling effect on speech? How is that
because
not what they're paying for, which is
because
to
there's
control
no
the narrative?
because there's no indication that this was happening. Like
Well,
it's fair.
wait, Hutch. There
It's
is.
fair.
Wait, Hutch. I do have to, even though I'm on your side. The chilling effect thing, I think, is a valid argument because it is true that some of them do give testimonies of, "I'm worried that maybe I'm not supposed to talk about certain
Yeah,
things." Now, whether or not those were valid concerns, they could have worked out with Chorus. Clearly, they were people talking about Chorus. I think like people are confusing, "Hey, don't disclose other members because that might be private information. Hey, don't disclose like when we have events before they're publicly announced," as like you weren't allowed to talk about Chorus. These are very different things. But there could be an effect of, "Hey, what if I want to suddenly became MAGA today? Would I get kicked out?" That could be a
Yeah.
concern. But
Well,
that's
we also don't know what
but
everybody's
Fabian,
contract is. We
just
have
to be
a
clear, because
contract,
I
right?
wanted to give some validity to that, but to push back, that's everything. That's audience capture. That's like, hey, what makes money with the algorithm? There's always a chilling effect somewhere. Now, I don't. This money wasn't coming as a political amount of money. This was an incubator program for getting people off the ground and expanding their reach. It wasn't, here's your talking points. The daily check-ins were, hey, we taught you how to do shorts. Let's see if your shorts are doing well. Hey, let's see how your thumbnails are doing. Like, these people weren't being paid to just do whatever they were doing already. It was trying to expand them into having more of a voice.
to be clear,
That's
I was
not
True.
an
That's not
argument.
what the
That's what I
DNC
said, though.
check-ins were, though, right?
Hutch and then Dickers. Hutch and then Dickers. That's what we're
Dickers,
doing.
Yeah, she's not addressing the argument, but okay.
to be clear, I was going to get there on my own. Have more faith in your pod, brother.
I'm sorry.
It's fair to have that kind of thought, right? Because as soon as you hear that some creator is being paid by some source that is involved in politics, that's of course going to be the first question that pops into your mind. However, what became abundantly clear, again, in the couple days or subsequent week after this reporting, is that this was not happening in any kind of material sense. Like there's no actual evidence of this happening. There are 90 people in the program. Don't you think that at least one of them would have gone on background with Taylor to tell her, like, yeah, I wanted to talk about this thing, and then they got they pushed back and they told me not to run the story or whatever.
You're saying
No,
this
no.
isn't happening, but you're not addressing the argument that I made. What you're doing is you're bringing in outside factors of what you saw on Twitter so that you can defeat that straw man that has nothing to do with the argument that I'm making. The argument that I'm making is that when you are picked and you are chosen to be a part of a program that is
they're going to
giving
pick
you all
people
of
who
these
align with their.
opportunities,
They're
and
going to be
giving,
picked with people who align with their policy goals, of course.
yeah,
But
I never made that
there's a
claim that like they're
there's-
forcing this type of speech on people.
But there's a difference between that and quote unquote pushing the party line. That's what was the big mischaracterization here. Like
That's not a mischaracterization, though, right?
It's not a mischaracterization.
Because you
course-
admit
of course it
that they
is.
have
No,
picked
of
people
course
with
it
a
is.
particular ideological bent.
What,
That it is
but
to
if
push
that
the
ideological
Democratic
bend
Party line.
ranges from
But are
I
you saying
will
it's like to
suck Joe
particulars,
Biden's dick
or are
to
you
I
saying
hate
that
Joe
they're going to get
Biden,
kicked
how is
out?
that?
Okay,
Dickers.
so what I'm saying
Yeah,
is,
it's
if
a
you're
single issue.
taking contention with the fact that they're not allowed to talk about something that, for example, if they're like take an anti-abortion stance, they're going to get kicked out. That's not what that's alleging. These are Democratic influencers. They do already push the Democratic Party line, and now
What
they're
is
being
the
paid to do
Democratic
that.
Party line, Dickers, if
wait.
they're allowed to criticize Democrats?
Wait, not just
That's
criticize.
nothing to
To
do
be
with the
clear,
Democratic Party line.
not just
In
not
terms of
just
policy
criticize.
points that they advocate for.
Is it the
Democrats
Democratic Party
criticizing
line to
Democrats
criticize
have
the
nothing to
party?
do with disagreeing with Democratic Party talking points.
It's not the
Hang on.
DNC party
Wait,
line to
give it-
criticize
give
the
it- give it-
party.
There's a lot of people here. Let's give it to Hutch to respond, and then we can let Dickers respond back if he wants, and then we'll get some other people in here. Go ahead.
There was one of the creators, and it's kind of a small sample size that we know of right now. I think it's like 12 or 13 or something like that out of 90, right? And out of that, like 12 or 13, three or four of them were pretty outspoken about Gaza. In fact, one of them took it to the extreme of accusing Pete Buttigieg and the Democratic Party writ large of being complicit in a genocide. If that person was not only in the program, but featured in a picture on the webpage, I think that annihilates the idea that this, secretive dark money group was picking people to like gas up the Democrats.
Well, wasn't the other person also like trying to get Schumer to step down? Like that's absolutely not in line with the DNC. But
yeah, Brian Tyler Cohen himself was complaining about the gerontocracy, complaining about Democratic Party leadership. I mean, like this is just not, it's not congruent with what was characterized in that article.
Okay, but trying to find people who will never criticize their own party, will never criticize members of their own party. Every person in politics does this, right? You can't do that. And even if it's not, I don't think it would even be preferable.
But
parties want to have
so they're not towing the party line, is what you're saying.
Talk about their own party. Yeah, absolutely, they are. Politicians criticize each other. All that they ask is that all they're going to expect is that you're going to talk about general support for the Democrats. Not that you're going to support every single member of Congress, every single person in the Senate.
Towing the line means you do everything they're asking, following the policy, not, hey, in general, are you left wing? These are completely
different things. It's only taking
a
single line from the very beginning of the article.
Do you think
if you're confused by that,
now that you've
scroll
read
down,
through the subsequent thing on 630,
just
can
to
you
go
look
to
up what
point,
toe the
actually,
line means?
You said that I hadn't read the article that you tried to criticize that I hadn't.
No, I said you didn't click on the secondary links, and now you don't know what toe the line means.
So Chorus actually hasn't got anything in their program about being anti-dog money, and neither has the 1630 fund.
I said 1630 fund. You can click on it.
With one of the executives. It's not part of their policy.
The executive of the 1630 fund, the person who like dictates their entire fucking message.
Fund. It's not an aspect of their fund, though, is it?
What do you mean it's not an aspect of their fund?
It's
the leader who runs it says this.
I'm against
not one guy.
money, but he's
Donald
spending
Trump says something. Does the Republican Party, all of them, not believe it?
Okay, one at a time. Hold on. All of you shut up. All of you shut up. All of you shut up. No one can hear you when three people are talking at once. We have to at least have some order.
Gen Z. They're so good at
Fabian, you're talking while I'm talking. Stop.
Wick, have you ever used the mute button?
I am fucking soy pill, you're doing it too. Let me fucking finish my point. Okay, I will have to start beating people if you guys don't at least exercise some self-control and wait your goddamn turns. Dickers, finish your point, and then we'll get into it, okay? And I will mute the motherfucker who interrupts. Go ahead.
Okay, so I was just making a simple point about like media literacy and what we're taking on this panel, right? So at the end of the day, I was right. It's not part of the Chorus platform to be anti-dark money. It's not even part of the 1630 fund to be against dark money. It's the personal opinion of the executive of the 1360 fund to be against dark money. That's fine. That's not what they're going to fundraise on. That's not the organization. That's the head of the organization, you might say, but he's not the king, right? These are complex organizations with multiple people. Their personal opinion, that might be worth something, but no, the advocacy that this campaign is doing is not against dark money. It doesn't say it anywhere.
One, I don't believe that you've read through the Medium article from the executive, not just one person, but the person who helps dictate the entire agenda of the 1630 Fund, her organization, which is a 501c4 nonprofit that advances progressive causes through advocacy and fiscal sponsorship. We do so using the legal rulebook in place today, and we are donors feel compelled to give us. I fucking lost my plot here. Give me a second. Let me find this again. Fuck me. Okay, but first, let me go to the second point. Second point is I never said that Chorus was anti-dark money. I said that 1630 was. So let me find the passage and read it to you. But first of all, when you're talking about fuck, god damn it. Hold on, I gotta stop doing two things at once. Hutch, take over for me while I read this.
I don't know what to say. Loud noises. Somebody else go.
Or I guess I can just respond to it. So
or say what you're saying again, so I can remember what
rubber meet in the road in terms of advocacy. Yeah, no part is it published that it's any part of the platforms that they try and encourage to be against dark money. That's just a true statement. Now, you might want to add the nuance that the executive of the fund has a personal opinion that she's against dark money. That's fine. All my point is, these organizations don't actually have it as a part of their program. They're against dark money.
Well,
and the reason why I brought that up
what would you
is the
spend
fact
money
that people
on?
are saying that we want
What
to
would you
support
spend money
it.
on if you wanted to
Being
get rid
part of these organizations isn't being against dark money, right?
What would you spend money on if you wanted to get rid of dark money in politics?
Advocacy groups that would be against dark money. I don't know what you're talking about.
So yeah, okay. In the article,
hold on.
Can I read it now?
Maybe and stop. They're going back and forth. Let them go back and forth.
So it says it's a point of emphasis for the group and its backing of campaign finance reforms that will require it and other nonprofit groups to disclose donors and potentially reduce their influence on politics. So this is not the opinion of the executive. This is the executive saying our group does this. Now, hold on. Now, if you're saying the executive is lying or misleading about what her group is trying to do, and the group is completely contradictory to this in their message, and you can show me that somewhere in the 1630 fund like method, show me that, please. But it appears to me,
I can prove it right now.
Okay, show me.
Unequivocally, it's not illegal for a 501c4 to publicly disclose who their donors are. If they're against dark money, they can just disclose it.
People want to donate to dark money.
They're not against dark money.
People
if the donors don't want to get disclosed, they don't have to be disclosed.
Okay, so the donors
like
are
every other dark money fund,
and then the dark money fund is using dark money.
The reason
so,
why
so it would be.
Do you not see how that's a contradiction? How the actions
obviously a contradiction. The donors wouldn't want to donate to this thing once it was illegal to do that.
Let Hutch answer the question. Hutch, go ahead.
It's not currently. It is not a contradiction. The reason why people are attracted to donating money to dark money groups is because they can do it anonymously and not have any fear of being harassed or whatever in this like current era of witch hunts and harassment and political violence. So the reason, so 1630, like collecting.
You're defending dark money.
No, you're doing the same thing we did before about like stealing a penny to save the world. Do you understand that? Like, if you can solicit more donations,
you're memeing to try and get out of the fact that you're in contradiction.
Nobody gives a fuck about your crazy moral system where you would somehow let 8 billion people die by not stealing a penny.
Logic.
There's nothing.
Not contradicting yourself.
There is nothing morally inconsistent about using a tool that is available so long as your enemy is using that same tool to their like massive benefit.
Okay, and I remember my second point.
That's just an insane.
I mean,
that's an insane.
Whatever. Moral ethics.
Shows that you're not a rational.
The second point was Dickers. Was that you say that it was factually true. They're towing the party line, and I'm asking you now, what do you think towing the line means? If, according to, let's say, if I just Google this and it says accept the authority, principles, or policies of a particular group, especially under pressure, and that is somehow akin to criticizing them heavily, if not calling them complicit in genocide. I think these things are completely contradictory.
Can you find me one influencer who said that the Democratic Party itself, the DNC, is complicit in genocide?
So why specifically the DNC and not the people who are the heads of it? So, for example, Joe Biden.
They support the party, yeah. They don't support everyone in the party. It's just that simple.
But is it
totally the
party line to be a Democrat?
I'm telling the lie.
If you don't want to read the rest of the article, that's fine.
Rinyald, I want to hear from you, please.
Yeah, it's not towing the party line to ultimately end up saying we should vote for the Democrats. That's not towing the party line. When somebody says we're towing the party line, it means that we are largely like 90% in accordance with the DNC. Like I don't consider myself to be someone who toes the party line.
Sorry.
But I'm pro-Democrat.
Can
we clarify? Can we clarify?
Talking about actually having read the article, okay?
It's not toe the party line. It's push the party line. Do you guys understand that? She said that they were being paid to push the party line, not step over, like not step over any lines. So it's even more of an intensive an allegation.
No, if anything, that'd be worse, right? You're being paid to toe the party line, as in you can't deviate from it, versus push the party line, as in be generally supportive of it. That's actually a
the difference, Stickers, is one is you just shut up and just let them push their agenda. The other is I'm a paid propagandist who must do exactly what the Democratic Party is pushing. Neither of which are true. But one is
the implication of the article. Absolutely not.
That's not the implication of the article?
It says that in the header, dude.
Do you think that
that Lorenz should have line? He's a Democratic. How could they have phrased that? Okay, how could they have phrased that? That there's no way that somebody who just wants to read the byline at the top of the article couldn't possibly misunderstand.
To help elect Democrats.
While still being catchy, while still having like an attention-grabbing headline. What is it?
You could say help elect Democrats.
That last thing might be a little harder. But what do you think factually happened here with these chorus people? Just with in regards to the Democratic messaging. No. This is like, because I want to see what you think happened. Okay, sorry. Can you start over? Sorry, I was talking over you.
Yeah, they got a certain amount of money to be an incubation program that have daily messaging, that have twice monthly advocacy trainings, and there'd be check-ins for how can they do their content.
Okay, what about that is pushing or towing the party line?
They're being paid. Yes.
Yes.
Okay, and these are influencers who support the Democratic Party.
In some capacity.
Before they get in there, they're pushing the party line. They've been giving daily messaging check-ins.
So your definition of pushing the party line is anyone who is a Democrat.
I don't know if you think anyone
who's a Democrat. If that's your definition, I can't argue with that. It's a dumb definition, but that's a definition.
The party,
sure.
Can I zoom out?
You can say that. That's a perfectly good summarization, especially if you scroll down and read the rest of the article.
Can you define the party line?
Totally benign.
No, you can't, Fabian. Give it a second, Fabian. Let him go back and forth. Hutch, please.
Can you define the party line? What is the party line?
Can I define the party line? It's going to be democratic issues that, by and large, all Democrats will support.
Such as?
Wait, so Gaza maybe would be not the party line, you might say?
No, that are overwhelmingly popular. Obviously, Gaza is one of the most controversial subjects in the recent years in politics. Retard.
Okay,
wait, isn't that
keeping
different than
Joe
just
Biden and
to
Chuck Schumer in power? Would you consider that the party line?
Say that again, sorry?
Keeping Joe Biden and Chuck Schumer, the gerontocracy in power, was that the party line?
Actually, there was controversy around that too. Well, every time you're going to point out an issue where there's controversy, I'm going to point out that there's controversy. And
there's controversy around every that's the nature of politics. There's controversy around every single
unanimous
topic
political issue of our time,
issues that you will get 90% agreement of Democrats on.
Is the standard,
so, for example, climate change, social equity. Hold on. What are the other ones?
Is there 90% agreement on Gaza?
Affordable healthcare, voter access.
Is
there 90% agreement on Gaza?
Democratic issues.
Is the standard just trying to get Democrats elected, or is it pushing popular narratives within the Democrats? Because when we said, like, what qualifies pushing the party line, all you said was electing Democrats.
Who generally support the Democrats' policy agenda. I don't know why you're freaking the fuck out.
Because your definitions don't make any sense. Dickers, do you know who
Because it's not pushing
is?
the party line either.
Dickers, have you heard of Counterpoints?
I have heard of Counterpoints.
Okay, he was paid by Progressive Victory. Progressive Victory has a mission to elect progressives. Would you say that he toes the party line?
He was hired as a what was it? I believe it was a contractor to do policy. No, not policy work. No. He was paid as a contractor to do security
work. He toes the party line?
Well, he was paid as a contractor.
He chose the Democrat Party line.
Okay, well, he's a Republican.
I don't think he does.
Like, he votes Republican.
Not.
Yes, he is.
No, he's not. No, now he's
an anti-Trump Republican.
Okay, I don't.
He's in the coalition of towing the party line. I love our
not arguing about what. Hold on, we're not arguing today. We're not arguing.
What makes a Republican and not a Democrat?
Please, we're not arguing today about. Hold on.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So he's not pushing the party line. No.
We're not arguing today about whether or not Counterpoints is a Republican or not. That's not.
It's not an argument. To be fair, he is a Republican. It's just a fact.
We're arguing today about whether or not the article A accurately portrayed what Chorus is doing, and B whether or not what Chorus is doing is okay, if it's something we support or don't support. Prime's been trying to get in.
Scott?
Okay,
Scott would want to go in before me, so
you want to go into Scott? Yeah, I'll give it your time to Scott. Go ahead.
It'll take like 20 minutes. Yeah, I know, but
well, no, I just want to zoom out because, like I said in my intro statement, I knew that the people that were going to defend this,
I don't want to zoom out.
Terrible actions, were going to equivocate and do all these little things, right? But I think the real important thing is not, how accurate was one specific word or phrase in the article about what is going on, but encapsulating, is this wrong and is it pointing to something that is wrong?
The accuracy of the article is part of the topic. Isn't it?
First of all, I was never. I mean, Wick
that was literally the topic right now.
But again, getting nitpicky within one word as opposed to actually talking about does it adequately describe a situation and zooming out a little bit. What I would say is the real issue here is you're an average viewer of political content online. You're not super connected. You go to work a regular fucking job. You don't do this day in and day out in your life. And you go and you just go through your YouTube algorithm because the elections are coming up soon. And you're like, oh, I don't know shit about politics. I should probably learn a little bit, get back into it for a little while. And you see all these large accounts that are pushing pretty much what the Democrat Party is pushing. Yeah, there's some issues on Israel-Palestine. Yeah, there's some issues about, this specific old person. Yeah, there's some issues about, Zoran in New York, right? But overwhelmingly, you have all of these large accounts that are super popular, and the algorithm is feeding you these big accounts, and it says, you know what everybody agrees on? Everybody agrees that the Democrats are the good guys. Everybody agrees mostly with these things. I'm watching American Girl doll YouTube videos and they're pushing Democrat talking points. So obviously even the American Girl doll people know what this is about. And then those same people are not telling you that they're getting damn near 6 figures just to push those talking points, even if it's not a specific.
Wait, but that's your issue. They're not getting paid to push those talking points. Those people were getting paid to be mentors in an incubator program. They were not getting paid to make content about Democrats.
To be clear, Chorus didn't even have
this is so fucking stupid. They're getting paid money as a part of a group that's the entire goal and funded is to push Democrat talking points. Yes, there's going to be some fucking issues here and there. What they're doing is they're selecting people that are Democrats that want to get Democrats elected, that talk about issues that are important to Democrats, and then boosting them, giving them more opportunities, giving them money, allowing them to go full time, and increasing the popularity of those messages and making sure that those messages stream and that they're more seen. And then the people don't know that that's where that funding is coming from. And they have this false reality that these are such normal issues that even the American Girl doll is talking about.
Okay, gotcha. Even Taylor herself said that there was no evidence, nothing that she saw to indicate that Chorus was pushing them to do specific messaging or influencing.
This is so fucking retarded.
Hold on,
just engage. Just engage with the actual points. You keep
He's
going
engaging with the author of the article instead of what other shit you're making up.
Perfect quid pro. No, this is not made up shit. It's a basic fucking logical
Fabian,
argument that
you've given your point. Let him respond. He can't engage.
But he's not responding to a single fucking point. He's just going back to shit he doesn't like on Twitter.
Hutch, go ahead.
You're making these claims, these broad claims that the author of the article herself refutes. She never said this. Just straight up, period.
You're fucking lying right now. Are you retarded?
Okay,
are you genuinely retarded?
If you really want to do your nuh-uh argument, go for it. But that is the
it's not a nuh-uh argument. You're doing the nuh-uh argument. You haven't actually addressed the argument.
You're saying connect the dots, bro. That's not a very compelling argument to me.
Okay, I'm going to talk to you like you're fucking 5. Here we go. I'm going to talk to you like you're fucking 5. If you get money, if you get money, okay, and then you get money from someone that says, I like Democrats. I like to give people that push and talk about Democrat issues money. Mm-hmm. And then you're getting that money so long, and that person goes, I could give this money to anybody. There's 1,000 people that could replace you at any moment, but I like you because you say the things that I like, and I want to help you. Does that not have an effect on both the algorithms, the channels that grow, and that person's speech any more than their audience capture that was brought up?
Explain the presence of creators who were not only criticizing the Democratic Party, they were giving scathing criticisms of the Democratic
Party.
This is
why they are
stupid.
Wait, Fabian, Fabian, to your credit. Yes,
like
obviously. Wait, Fabian, obviously, yes, there could
and you
be
responded
a chilling
with,
effect
okay,
there.
So explain. And you didn't fucking get. You did
Fabian,
immediately
there
went
could
to
be
your
a chilling
whataboutism.
effect there.
It's
this
so
isn't what
dumb.
about. I'm just saying, yes, obviously the concern. If you're saying, is there a concern when someone is taking money from someone who could only be paying them because they share an ideology? Yes, there's always a concern there, and that's why obviously I think Hutch and I agree. Probably people should disclose that, especially when it's large sums of money at a certain point, because your audience has an expectation of authenticity, and if you're lying about it, if you're straight up just like, oh no, I'm not paid, I'm completely authentic, and you find this money somewhere, there might be coming into question, are you really on this side, or are you just being paid to do it? But that has nothing to do with what this article is alleging. This is just the concept of a chilling effect that could exist. Yes, absolutely. But now let's talk about what the article is alleging. The fact that everyone is running away with it saying, oh, these people were paid to say this. And I can't believe I'm going to defend Ted Cruz here, but what's the difference between Ted Cruz saying, I'm pro climate change, and then getting $10 million and then becoming pro fossil fuel, or being pro fossil fuel and a big fossil fuel company saying, well, cool, you're going to do what I want. Here's $10 million. Obviously, he's going to feel some influence, but he's not changing his principle based on that.
Yeah, again, you're not addressing the argument, because I'm not saying that these people they have these 10 views, and then because they get money, they change 2 or 3 of these views. What I'm saying is that there's this big pool of money looking for content creators to push and to grow. And what they're saying is, look, we need people to hit like at least 8 or 9 of these views, because that's what's going to push forward. You're never going to get a perfect person, and both Taylor and myself are not claiming that they're saying you get more money if you say the right thing, or saying that if you change your views, then you get immediately kicked out. What we're saying, and what is stated, I mean, admittedly somewhat vaguely, I don't like fucking Taylor Lorenz, obviously. Like anybody that knows, like, I'm not a fucking Democrat, right? Like I don't like social justice, anti-capitalist bullshit. But nevertheless, yes, there's a tinge of yellow journalism there. But the overall argument is true. And the argument is that when you have a bunch of dark money that people don't know about, and when you have people getting funded by this dark money, that changes the way that either A, can have a chilling effect on their speech, or at the very least, B, all of that money can just pick a new person. And so those messages get paid for, and they get paid for in a secret, clandestine way. And so that normal people watching don't recognize that these ideas aren't necessarily popular.
We got to break down your argument.
For.
So
They're
one is the paid for, one is the secret part, and then the one is the chilling effect, right? So would you say I'm paid to be a Democrat? Would you say I'm paid to be a progressive?
I don't know what
I'm a progressive. Would you say I'm paid to be a progressive? It's my full-time job now. Am I paid to be a progressive?
I mean, in a certain manner of speaking, you're paid to do the content that you're doing for your audience.
Right. And I don't think this is a gotcha, by the way. Sure. I think, yes, 100%.
Like
my audience, if I became MAGA tomorrow, I would lose my entire audience. So there's always going to be, I have my principles, and it would just completely, like, if I shifted those, I'm not going to get this money. So yeah, I'm worried insofar as if for some reason I thought MAGA was the solution, I would become just financially ruined. Okay. But the secret part, I think, is the more important part. These people are not being paid in secret. Chorus was very open about this, about the program and how this is working. A bunch of people are disclosing, hey, I work with Chorus, donate to Chorus, I'm part of this incubator program. So some people are still secret. They have not released the names of all of these creators, and there might be privacy reasons for that. And I do think that, hey, if you are being paid, especially to make content about a political issue, you should probably say, this was paid for by this PAC or whatever.
People, but they're open?
No. I'm agreeing with you that there are some of these people that are kept secret, and that might be because of privacy, or they don't want what is happening now, which is, I don't know if you've seen the fucking smear campaigns coming out against some of these people that have their names released. Like, it's pretty bad. And I know Taylor herself has said, I'm not releasing the contracts because
That's
the
an
people
argument
in
for
them.
the secrecy, not against the secrecy being.
Yes, this is my argument for the fact that they're not releasing all the names. But I'm agreeing with you that there is always going to be a chilling effect when you receive money from anyone for anything. Yes. Though, what are you alleging was wrong specifically in this case of that? Because if you're saying
after you
giving
answer,
any money, period, is not okay, then I can contend with that. But if you're just saying this specific kind of giving money wasn't okay because some of these people didn't disclose that they were getting money for an incubator program, I think that's a total non-issue.
Well, to be clear, the incubator program was not public. Chorus, the project, was public. The incubator program, that's what the article is about. The
what was Chorus if not the incubator program?
They're two different things.
Chorus was a bunch of creators. The newsroom was part of that. But in terms of like the daily messaging thing, the adequacy training, the payments
what they do in the incubator program doesn't mean the incubator program wasn't public.
No, this is
it wasn't public.
True.
It wasn't disclosed.
You made fun of him for not reading the article.
Okay, maybe I'm doing a reading comprehension gaffu now.
Yeah,
let me double check.
So there's two. Yeah. There's Chorus, the overarching program, and then the 1630 fund as part of like a subgroup project was the Chorus incubator program.
Yeah.
Okay. These are two different. This is two different things. I mean, obviously they're under the same people in terms of BTC, but these are two different programs. So the overarching Chorus program was something that was open, that they were talking about, etc. The Chorus incubator program was the one that people were signing contracts for, where they were saying you're not supposed to tell people. I mean, granted, that's one example, and we have to trust Taylor Renz, so that's like two reasons of why it might not be fully true, but nevertheless, presumably the contracts that were sent out were saying you're not supposed to tell people that you're in this program, and that was the one that had that was the one that was directly paying people.
So I'm confused because some of these people did say they were part of this program before her article. So obviously it's not saying you can't. It was saying you should go through. I thought it was the incubator program, but if these are completely separate entities, as you're now saying, maybe I've completely misunderstood this.
They're not completely separate.
So the incubator.
I know.
Okay. Hold on. I do want to get Prime Kai in here. He's been waiting a little bit. Okay. Prime Kai had something to say.
1 point.
1 point quickly.
Okay. So if you go to the Chorus website, I know Soypill, you said that you wanted to, or you have signed up for it, I think. You're not signing up for the incubator program. You're signing up to be part of Chorus. Okay, so you can't apply to be part of the incubation program. They reached out to creators, but yeah, that's the 1 point.
What are you applying to be when you're in Chorus then?
A part of Chorus.
What does that mean?
Not a part of the incubator program.
What does Chorus do?
What does Chorus do outside the incubator program?
Marries people with politicians for like media interviews. Like they were doing that before the incubator program existed.
So forming a network of people, and also the incubator program is for the smaller creators.
Yeah. To pay them and
well, I mean,
like
if David Packman is one of the smaller creators.
Well, hold on. It's a mentorship program, which means he would be the mentor
in order
to
join the incubator
program. But anyway, I want to give it to Prime Kai. He's been waiting a little bit. Go ahead.
Sure. I haven't met a side point. I haven't met this Stickers person before, but their voice is wonderful. I love it. It's even elegant when they call someone a retard. It's beautiful. Going back to whether this article was accurate, I was going to have a different angle from what you guys were discussing before. People have said that this article, takes pieces of the contract and paints them in a bad light. That in actuality, in the practical running of the organization, it's different. But I just want to point out that Taylor, unless of course she lied, reached out to the creators who are actually part of the program. She gave them a chance to comment, and then they roundly did not comment on the story. And to paint it, and I don't want to put exactly these words in the mouth of the opposing team here, but to paint it as this is a dishonest or just a poorly worded view of how this program works. It's like, she did reach out continuously to the creators, to the organization, and for the most part, she got nothing back, right? And it seems like for people on this side. And again, I don't want to put this necessarily in your mouths, but like it seems like
Wait. I'm sorry, Case. This guy in chat, Dickers, you just said find the word incubator. It is the fourth word on the paragraph that I just posted. The only thing you're applying for is the incubator program. You're just fucking wrong. Talk about my reading comprehension, dude. Come on.
Okay.
Oh, that's the particular program.
That's on the main page of We Are Chorus. That's what it is.
Yeah, that's not the main Chorus website, though, is it?
Yes, it is. Fuck.
I don't believe that it actually is. The incubator
Click
program.
Hold on. Send me the link to
Click
the website.
on Join Chorus. It is the incubator program. You have no idea what the fuck you're talking about. I got swayed by your British accent. I believed you for a second.
Program within the Chorus organization.
Okay.
What is joining it if it's the only thing you can join is the incubator program?
Send me the webpage because I haven't actually seen this webpage. Send me the webpage and I will be the judge. But Prime Pie can finish your point. But DM me the webpage. I'm really curious now.
Sure. I just that actually I know exactly where I was, but
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I had to crash out.
No worries, it's fine. Yeah,
she
so
reached out to multiple people and didn't get responses, so to frame it in a negative light.
Yeah. I think it's dishonest to do that. Like this
is a Wikipedia article right now, and it says Cohen is also the co-founder of Chorus Creator Incubator Program. So I'm not seeing what you're seeing in terms of there being like a separate chorus.
The incubator program is a program within Chorus, the organization.
Hold on, the Wikipedia article, it says Cohen is also the co-founder of the Chorus Creator Incubator Program. I think what Soypill is saying is that the incubator program is baked into Chorus.
Like fundamentally.
It's a part of Chorus, yeah.
Yeah,
but it's like the whole the whole part, I think.
Like the way the McDonald's training program for new employees
before the Chorus incubator program existed.
What did it do?
Oh my God,
well, this is the stuff that came out in April, right? They were marrying creators with politicians so they get interviews.
Like when they went to an event, right? And Taylor.
So I was right. This is
I don't know if it's a mischaracterization, right? But
if you go to the main website for donation, it says Chorus is a creator-led non-profit organization dedicated to helping content creators expand their reach and educate their audience about news and public policy issues that impact their lives. Founded by a group of content creators in December 2024.
Okay.
Chorus
that sounds like the incubator program.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Oh my God, you guys are making fun of Dickers, and then you didn't read the fucking article or like watch the
content.
Video.
Well, to be clear,
I described the
when did the incubator program start? When did the incubator
like November of last year, right?
No, it didn't.
No. Chorus started
this is the first cohort.
November.
It's a 6-month program. How does that work?
You can imagine if they were starting this program with
no. Can I get an answer to that? Sorry,
hang on. I'm answering your question. You can imagine if the goal was to do this thing of building up smaller creators, it would take some time to onboard like bigger creators before you actually kick off the program in earnest.
That's not.
You wouldn't just snap your fingers and then all of a sudden it's like boom, now we got our thing.
These are two different things. Okay, this isn't up for dispute.
The Chorus
program.
No one is alleged
is a fund.
And then the incubator program is to get in new content creators, small creators. Yeah.
Chorus is a fund, okay, and that fund uses to like set up meet and greets. They were able to get the people into that building where they thought they might be getting interviews with politicians, but it turns out they weren't necessarily getting interviews with those politicians. But then when Taylor Lorenz reached out to them, to BTC, he said that we had gotten 53 million views, and so we had gotten more views from that program than like the major news media had gotten on Donald Trump's speech.
Wait, it's not a fund.
Chorus was there.
1630 is the fund. Anything that has money is not a fund. This is a specific program with a specific goal to specifically incubate creators.
No, it's not.
This is just two chills that are just
again. I'll go back to my question. Okay, this started in December.
God, I hope they pay me.
It's a 6-month program. It's now September. How are we still at the first cohort?
Because you don't start on day one when it's created. That's not how it works. Look, I don't know. I've taken part in some of these. I would say the same thing back to you.
Okay,
but these things don't just like immediately start incubating people. They start a bunch of funding. They make their connections. They reach out to politicians. They get their tentacles in all the little politician groups, and then they get a bunch of money, and they're like, "Cool, let's do our pilot program." This is like normal.
The incubator program is a program that they do. It's not the main organization. It's not the purpose of the organization.
Hang on. The FAQ.
It's one of the purposes, sure.
The FAQ.
What is the main purpose?
The very first thing on the FAQ. What
I'll
are
tell
the benefits of joining
helping
Chorus?
content creators
And the
expand their
way
reach and
it
educate their
describes
audiences
this-
about
What do you
news
think
and
helping
policy
content
issues that
creators
affect their lives.
expand their reach?
Primary
Stop,
one is to
stop,
be a middleman
stop.
between
Okay, I'm gonna mute
creators
you,
and political
Dickers.
figures.
Okay, I'm gonna
He asked me a question, and then Hutch
get your
jumped in.
point out.
Hutch
Okay.
was
You
talking the
interrupted
whole
me.
time.
What are the benefits of joining Chorus? That's the first question. And then it says Chorus's incubator program is a vibrant pro-democracy learning community. If Chorus was like a separate thing from the incubator program, why do they describe themselves first and foremost, literally leading with the incubator program?
What did I say like 10 minutes ago? The McDonald's training program is a part of McDonald's. It is a program that the organization carries out.
Does Chorus make burgers too? Is that like, do they have a separate thing they do?
They might do, for how much you seem to know. I don't know.
I think it's very obviously implying that the point of
All the way
Chorus is
back
the
in
incubator
December,
program.
they were trying to marry creators with politicians so that they could create political content. They're trying to be a middleman between creators and politicians to facilitate those interviews, that type of content.
They also
yeah?
did the
Why
DNC.
did
A few
Brian
months
Tyler
ago,
Cohen-
they
DNC
started
elections.
the incubator
Why did-
program, which is
why
a
did
new
Brian-
program that they are now doing.
Why did Brian Tyler Cohen, when he was first talking about founding this, like several months ago, I think back in November, why did he describe this as a program to uplift like smaller creators?
Because they would get
That
access
is
to
part of the
politicians.
goal.
Why didn't he start the
That's-
incubator program then? You might say that was always his intention, but they are still separate, right?
Let's
There are not just
move on
one
to-
Okay, wait.
form.
Wait, I want to grant
Listen,
something. I want to grant something.
before-
Dickers, I want to
before-
It's an entire
so-
logical
I need to
organization.
concede. I need to
I don't know
concede
why
something
we're
to
getting
Dickers.
stuck on this point.
I need to concede something to Dickers before we can move on from this. Fabian, we can move on.
Go ahead, Soypill, please.
Please.
No,
Okay.
like-
If all you're saying is that the incubator program specifically, as in like the way that people join, is separate from the fact that some of the people affiliated with Chorus don't participate in the thing that like, hey, we're teaching you to make thumbnails. Like, hey, David Pacman, you might be a mentor on this. We'll also reach out to this one politician or something and let you talk to them. Okay, they do that as well. Cool.
Nice.
No,
It's an incubator
the,
program.
No, before the incubator program, they had Chorus had at least according to Taylor Lorenz and according to their own like I wrote it down in my notes, so I didn't give you a link because I feel like you're going to ask for a link for everything. But go watch Taylor Lorenz's video. She showed where they were doing the Zoom call meeting, where they had bragged before they created the Chorus incubator program of working with the DNC and Impactual LLC to be able to host a Zoom meeting that was sponsored by Chorus of all of the DNC candidates. They
What
were
was the
doing
Zoom meeting
other
for?
things. They were hosting like a discussion with all of the DNC candidates leading up to was it one of the elections for one of the DNC leadership elections.
Okay, as long as we can all agree that this is clearly trying to get creators to expand their reach without telling them what to do, then that seems to be what it's for.
So I think you've forgotten the original point. So the original point of this is that people disclosed that they were a part of Chorus. There was not disclosure that the Chorus incubator program existed,
Right.
or
You
that
made
people
the
were
false
part
claim.
of the incubator program or getting paid as a part of the incubator program. This is the point.
Getting paid to participate in the trainings is different from getting paid to do any of the other stuff, all of which are purposely to
you
make
made
We don't know
a
if the mentors
false
are getting
claim.
paid.
You
The
made a
stipends
false
are for the
claim.
incubator
The
program.
false
We don't know that
claim
David
was
Pacman's getting paid. He hasn't claimed that. Brian Taylor Cohen isn't getting paid.
What the fuck is Prime doing?
I know
You made
he's
the
a volunteer.
You made
I
the
wanna get-
claim that it was proof that there wasn't secrecy about being in the program because that people had already said that they were a part of Chorus, and then we had to explain to you, and you went through this semantic shitstorm because you're so fucking bad faith that we had to finally nail you to the wall that these are two different things, and that it can be true that someone could say, I'm working with Chorus, I'm a part of Chorus, but not necessarily, and also true that the Chorus incubator program was a portion of that had a
you
contract
alleging
that
that
said
the-
you're not supposed to talk
Yeah, I
about
mean,
this.
Yeah, we've said
So
enough.
have you guys seen the Ali O'Brien video where she says that I was part of Chorus before any of this happened and that there was implication that there was payments received as in some sort of financial assistance?
Did she say that? Was that in the post that she was getting paid? Did she disclose that months ago?
Well, that's what she
She
alleged.
disclosed
Yeah.
that she was part of Chorus.
No, I think you can do some like connecting of dots here, because like Brian Tyler Cohen, when he announced the program, he like very much described what the program was going to be. And so I think you guys are right. I think you guys are right that there was a secrecy clause in terms of like receiving funds. Soy Pill had already conceded earlier before we got bogged down in this entire conversation that disclosure would have been better. But I'm at the point now where I say, like, fuck it. I'm totally on board with them like not disclosing because of the reaction that we're seeing like right now on this panel, and then the larger reaction on social media. It took about 2 seconds before people were accusing these people of taking funds to stay silent on Gaza. So if these people want to take those funds and not disclose it, and they're not legally obligated,
are you arguing with Twitter?
Fuck, that's my perspective.
He is arguing.
Can anybody on this panel make? Oh, you're just arguing with Twitter.
No. He's not arguing with Twitter.
The larger conversation. It was so obvious that these people were getting smeared like right away. They were being accused of some of the most disgusting shit.
That's like so. Like what a bird brain argument. You're saying
that happening?
Hold on, let him finish his argument, then you can go. Brian.
Is a justification to tell these guys, hey, maybe don't disclose that you're taking these funds. Now, if you guys could establish in any kind of material way that the funds, them taking this money, impacted their content at all, then you would have a leg to stand on. But there's no indication that this was the case.
Well,
you keep
you
making
refuse rational arguments, and you keep arguing with Twitter. And
well, give it. You got
a bird brain argument here, right? You're saying, oh, okay, so because there was a strong reaction the other way, you can sacrifice these principles. You can be dishonest. What nonsense is that? So like,
strong doesn't even begin to cover it. Take a look at their mentions.
The reason why that we're seeing the backlash we're seeing now is because there wasn't the transparency in the first place. If this had been clear from the very start, we wouldn't be having this issue at all. Right? So people,
just a little note on that. I disclosed about Progressive Victory, and I was very open about it, and I had that issue. So it didn't fix it, even if you're at least.
There are Progressive Victory people who disclosed their entire fucking shit and are now being doxxed at their homes because of just aligning with someone that is politically antithetical to someone else.
Also, anytime
I
anybody...
was no, sorry, I'm not looking at it. So like there wouldn't have been. I don't think there'd be an article. I don't think there would be actually there might be an article discussing like the whole like structure of the organization.
It wouldn't be a big deal though.
Yeah, I think it would be far less of a big deal. I worked for Progressive Victory as well previously. I disclosed everything. I didn't have a problem, but I can't speak to anyone else's experiences, so I'll give you that. But in any case,
would you recognize that?
Like, sorry, recognize what?
The fact, like what Wick said is so relevant, because like what's happening right now is like PV is getting wrapped up in all this as well. And we have Hassan Piker along with other like enormous lefty creators that are going on their stream and just flippantly accusing PV of being a Destiny slush fund that was paid to do Israeli propaganda. My mentions are fucking like nuclear, like a fucking war zone. Would you recognize?
I don't know.
For example, we're talking about the doxing, right?
This
that was an issue made by a filing.
Stop.
Fucking YouTube video. This is a debate. Why are you like this is drama slop bullshit that you're engaging in?
The reason why the Progressive Victory filings got used for doxing was because there was a misfiling, right?
To this kinds of things, and that the internet is littered with horrible, bad actors that make these insane, baseless claims. So could you not understand that maybe that could actually justify
that wouldn't change with disclosure? Is my point. So I'm addressing what you're saying.
That's Hutch's point too. It's not changing with disclosure. That's the point.
We disclosed, bro.
So Progressive Victory disclosed not just people's full names, also their zip codes, right?
No,
that's not
they
the kind
didn't
of disclosure
any
anybody
of this.
is trying to.
They gave it to the FEC as a legal requirement.
Yeah, exactly. They disclosed it to the FEC on a public filing.
And then hold on, because I know about what happened here. And then people, and I know who did it too. I know there was several people who did it. Found it, and published that shit all over Twitter and things like that in order to harass and dox. That was the point of not PV giving it to the FEC, but for the people who found the FEC listings and posted everyone's address and full name and zip code all over
that would have happened with or without disclosure, right? And that would have happened with or
that's the
without an
point.
attachment to an organization, right?
That's the point.
Politics,
Prime said,
unfortunately, politics online is incredibly like toxic flavor of content.
yeah,
If your address
that's
is
the
out
point.
there on a public listing and people find it, they will post it if they disagree with you.
Prime said that.
It's
Prime
nothing
said
to
that
do with
if they know
anything
you're
with taking
paid,
money.
which you
Prime
would
said-
only know if you're disclosed.
No.
You do not
Prime
need
said,
to get paid by an
Give it to
organization.
Rinyald. I want to hear what Rinyald says. Rinyald, go ahead. Rinyald, please.
Prime said that this would probably disappear. He said there would probably be an article, but people wouldn't be mad if they had just disclosed up front. I think the progressive victory thing is an exact example of how that wouldn't happen. Disclosure doesn't really have any. Like you said,
they disclose up front?
Who?
All of us did. All the creators in the program. All the creators in the program. We were all disclosing. I was disclosing on my stream. Wick, you're disclosing
I'm not even
every
accusing.
single panel.
I'm just
I would assume yes.
And to be clear, PV fucked up. Let's just be honest about that. Like that's the reason why the addresses got out there.
That's the point.
So disclosure is completely irrelevant to any point of
that was not even supposed to be a part of the FEC filing. But the point is that you can disclose, you can do everything right, you can be completely upfront about the work that you're doing, and the bad actors out there will find this, and they're still going to accuse you.
But
crazy.
I mean,
there's people
accusing the mechanism. Okay, I'm addressing what it's fine. The mechanism through you getting your information out there was progressive victory. That's true. In terms of people going ahead and then doxing you, it's got nothing to do with PV. You're a political creator who a lot of people on the far left especially hate.
Real quick,
exactly, it's relevant. That's my entire point.
Dickers, the point that they're making, that Prime was making, and Prime said, as Rinyald said, that the harassment and the crazy shit would stop if they just disclosed. And the only reason we're bringing up the progressive victory is because that is evidence that, at least in progressive victory's case, it didn't seem to help. That's the only argument being made here.
Realistically, any pro.
Let's give it back to Prime. Prime, please.
Sure. And I'd like to hear what you have to say, Rinyald. I don't mean to talk over you. So to be clear, I never knew that people's were doxed in some sort of PV leak. This is actually news to me here. I think that when I say backlash, I mean that this is like a national. Well, not national story. I don't know if it's a national story. I know it's within my circle, my large circle here, that people are talking about this a lot. And it's making waves online. But in any case, I don't think that most of this dialogue would have happened. And people, if their audiences, right? Okay, so I had the way I found out about this is through David Pakman, actually, right? So I didn't read the article immediately. David Pakman made a response to the article. I saw that video first. And I thought, without having read the article, that what he was saying was reasonable. It didn't seem so nefarious to me. I went to his comment section, and people were accusing him of all kinds of crazy shit. But guess what? This is the fucking internet. They do it all the goddamn time. That's going to happen, right? I appreciate what Scott was saying. Are you arguing with Twitter? Yeah, they're going to say craziness to you. People were saying, about David Pakman, I guess that's why he doesn't mention Gaza. First of all, doesn't make any sense because the DNC is in favor of Israel, backs it completely, right? So he'd be incentivized to talk about Gaza one way or the other, right? In favor of the IDF. But secondly, no, that's obviously wrong. I was completely skeptical of that argument because the Gaza situation has been happening for nearly 2 years. This incubator program is brand new, and I think the most likely answer is that Pakman is a disgusting dog shit Zionist who understands that his views are unpopular and just not going to talk about it. That's the reason why he hasn't said anything. But even then, still, people took that opportunity in this moment of friction, of contention, to put that out there. Oh, now I see, right? There must be something shadowy about that. I get that happened, right? But the way to help mitigate that, I'll say this instead, right? Rather than stop it completely, the way to help mitigate that is always just be upfront with your connections, right? Especially your financial connections, and then you have to let the chips fall where they may.
I mean, doesn't it speak directly against the fact that disclosure would have helped it? That people are accusing David Pakman of taking money from AIPAC when, nothing like that ever got disclosed. They're just making that up. So, clearly disclosure wasn't
people on internet make shit up. at the,
Well, that's the point, though.
slightest opportunity. But hold on, but specifically, the thing I was responding to was Hutch. Hutch says specifically, hey, the reason now I'm against disclosing because I see this reaction. That's what I originally responded to, right? That's crazy, right? Oh, because post facto, right? After the fact, I see craziness online. I'd say no, we shouldn't have some sort of principle of transparency. That's nonsense. That's an awful argument.
I don't understand how you can, like, you're just sort of dismissing like doxing and massive amounts of harassment. It's like, oh, that just happens on the internet. Like, if you're a small, hold on, if you're a small creator that was
so full of shit.
Let Hutch finish. Let Hutch finish, please.
Fucking Christ! If you're a small creator that gets picked for this incubator program, you don't have like a big following. You're not used to that level of attention. You're certainly not used to that level of harassment, doxing. So whether or not, like, listen, I'm sympathetic to arguments that people should over disclose. I think that's like generally good practices. However, I understand the idea to protect smaller creators from that level of harassment that you guys are just kind of just like, or, oh, that just happens on the internet. That's not a small thing to have, hundreds of
have you responded to a single argument this entire panel?
Can you hear me? Is my mic on? I'm responding exactly to what he just said.
No, you're not. I don't think you know what an argument is. Do you know what an argument is?
What are you not following?
Do you know what an argument is? I'm just curious. Do you even know what an argument is? I am making the
argument that the response that we're seeing right now.
Do you know what an argument is?
Can you shut the fuck up for 5 seconds? Seriously. I'm making the argument that what we're seeing right now with the crazy level of harassment is the reason why they would have that kind of a protection mechanism in the contract. You understand? You guys are making the case that, like, oh yeah, disclosing.
Do you know what an argument is?
You guys are making the case that disclosing would have fixed all that. Obviously not. I don't know how you make
no one made that argument, but do you know what an argument is?
It's a damn near non sequitur.
Are you listening?
Do you know what an argument is?
Well, I want to hear from Prime. Prime, please.
It's a damn near non sequitur.
I'm just curious if Hutch even knows what an argument is.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't know what an argument is. Let's move on. Okay, we're good.
It is a damn near non sequitur to insert, like, oh, you aren't going to protect them from doxing. Doxing going to have. I talk about transparency. I talk about, hey, you should, talk about your financial relationships, right? Just like you do with any other sponsorship that you get, right? If you got something from, Amazon.com or something, and you got cut a check, then you should do an ad read and let them know this is a sponsor section, right?
This is like finally goes to what I'm trying to say, which is like, what is the material difference?
There's no reason to talk over me, please.
Let Prime finish, and then we'll get to Soy, then Hutch.
Yeah, so there's to go from like talking about we should have a principle transparency. Say, oh well, if you are transparent, then you'll get doxxed. Then you get doxxed. No, I'm sorry, shit happens, right? It's really unfortunate. Again, I'm just hearing about this PV incident, but that's really unfortunate. That's a misfiling from what I'm hearing from Dickers and all the rest, right? That seems like a misfiling. But to say that, oh, from there, right, it follows that, like, because you are transparent, you're probably going to get doxxed. And that is the reason we have to hide our financial entanglements. That's nonsense. That's a non sequitur.
I wonder.
The idea, Case, is that there are people in this program who have zero online presence because they're part of an incubator that may or may not want to be immediately public before they get expanded. And if you're a figure in your contract, it's like, hey, don't just go in public and say, oh yeah, Case, he's part of that. Oh, Hutch, he's part of this. Yeah, he's getting money from them. And then all of a sudden, you've got to.
I'm not asking.
No, hold on. You gotta let Soy finish responding.
That is the implication. No. Case, I know you're not saying that chorus.
Because Chorus is not, I'm not saying Chorus should necessarily like publish a list. I'm saying the creator should publish. So like the creator will be saying it wouldn't give them more attention, right? If on my 5 viewer channel I say, oh, I'm working with Chorus, that doesn't give me 6 viewers, right? It doesn't do anything. So that would be if Chorus put that published a list on their site. And I'm not even asking for that.
Right. Also, the idea that these are like tiny creators with no presence online just isn't true. In the reporting that Taylor Lorenz did, these people have combined like millions of followers online.
Okay, now we're getting to a reading comprehension thing. The biggest people being paid the most were the big followers. Some of these people had
we have millions of followers.
Presence. These are that's the point of the incubators. People trying to get into streaming who are not doing anything and they need to expand their reach. This is a wide range, which is why some people are being paid $8,000 a month and some people didn't get shit or were offered like $100 fucking bucks because
there were people $250 was the minimum.
Brought into this campaign that had no online presence.
They're not saying no online presence. They're saying negligible.
No, I
or,
did
like,
say no
not
online
ready
presence
to.
because I'm
Yeah,
also
but that's not what
confusing
you
it,
mean.
to be fair, with some people who literally have no online presence in a different program that I might be a part of. So excuse me. Now I am allowed to disclose that, to be fair.
We don't
Now,
know the vast
the
majority.
point is, my initial claim, to go all the way back to this, and we don't have to dwell on this too long, but saying you are part of Chorus and saying you are part of an incubator program are both, hey, I am disclosing that I'm working with a fund whose mission is to expand the reach of these people. Now, if you want to say, hey, they have to disclose the exact amount of money, that's a different story. If you want to say, if they don't say it at all, this is a completely different thing, especially if they're telling them what content to make. But when Ali or any of these other people or Brian Tyler Cohen say, I'm working with Chorus, you go on the Chorus website, Chorus says, we're trying to use the fund from all of your donations to expand the reach of these people. And you're now telling me there's a huge material difference between connecting people with politicians and, hey, I'm teaching you how to expand your content through like digital means and how to use these tools. I think this is a complete insane distinction that like does not matter. This is Chorus and people saying I'm part of Chorus and Chorus is helping me.
There's a very clear distinction there, right?
What's
Between
the
like
distinction?
just receiving these support and like getting access to politicians and having this newsroom, and that's all cool, and then actually receiving money.
Why does the money in this specific thing make a difference?
Because you're getting some kind of like remuneration for the political advocacy you're doing.
But we
No.
also don't know.
I mean, they're
you think these people would be getting paid if they didn't post any content?
I have a
one second. Can I get a thing from that?
The point is training them to post content.
If they stop posting content for like the next 3 months,
yeah,
if
the point of the program is to expand left-wing content creators, obviously, if you didn't do content creation, they wouldn't want you to be part of the program. Yes.
Right.
What?
Point of the organization. Expanding the reach of left-wing creators, that's the organization, not the program.
What's the point of the program?
The program is more.
What's the point of the program? The incubator
to support
program.
Small creators, specifically.
Right, creators.
Okay.
So if they stop
would you
creating,
say that is a subset of expanding the reach?
Yeah, but that's where the payments happen.
I have a different question, perhaps, on
that's
the
where the
anonymity
payments happen, which we care about.
Yes.
I do want to talk about the anonymity subject because Hutch did bring up a new thing where he didn't care if people actually disclosed, right? Because there would be value to anonymity. You, Dickers, Prime Kai, and I think Fabian seem to disagree, and you can correct me if I'm wrong if I've mischaracterized that. But how far would you extend this want of transparency? Do you think that people should be required to disclose how they vote?
What? No, that's completely
no. Why? But why shouldn't? Why is it bad that we protect the anonymity of someone who votes, of how someone votes?
Because voting is something you do. This is a benefit that you're receiving.
I mean, there's so many distinctions. Like, we could come up with 100, right? Like,
I don't even agree.
The anonymity of the anonymity.
How is the right to vote going to bias you?
Because
it might bias you against doing crimes, maybe.
Hold on, right? We understand that not just money can influence us, correct?
Well, no, this is
like
I'll explain
who I'm dating.
I'll explain the distinction.
If I'm hold on, stop. Okay. If I'm dating someone who is a Republican, okay, she's really hot, okay, and she just happens to be a Republican, does that have a potential to influence? Does that influence?
That would be unduly kind of incisive into your personal life. If you had to give away like personal relationships you had, yeah,
it'd be unduly. I'm just asking why you're drawing the line on money.
Because you're there's a quid pro quo, right? There's a meeting of the minds. There's a contract sign, right?
No, to be fair, though, journalists oftentimes like talk about their personal entanglements with like, hey, I like this person was the best man at my wedding. I don't know, and I'm doing an article on their like organization. I think people like do talk about their personal entanglements, and
So listen, there's two types of influence, right? You have the general influence that you're discussing, and then you have undue influence. I don't think anyone here is alleging like a English common law level of like undue influence, right? Undue influence might be if they signed a 12-year contract that says you must do this, and then if you break the contract, you owe them $60,000 or something, right? Like you might be able to argue undue influence here. And I agree with you, right? If you had a Republican girlfriend, that would influence you. Or if you were, able to join some creator program that was specifically designed to fight liberalism like Progressive Victory, but it gained you like a bunch of opportunities with other streamers and got your name out there, that would influence you against the presumption of like being for liberalism, because Progressive Victory was against
to be clear,
liberalism,
it
right?
could. It does not necessarily have to.
I guess Fabian, the fundamental question is
would be
this
there.
might cut to the chase, Fabian.
No,
well, no, because we can cut to the chase. Let's cut to the chase.
I know you want to interrupt. I know you want to interrupt.
Well, yeah, because you talk for a long time,
okay.
and this will cut to the chase, and we'll make it so much simpler.
I'm the only
Why
one
do you
making
think the
arguments, so it's okay.
secrecy clause was there?
Why do I think the secrecy clause was there?
Right, because the implication of the article is that we want you to be authentic, but we don't want you to let other people know that you're paid. Right? That is the implication of the article. Would you disagree with that?
I think trying to read into the implication as opposed to the actual words gets a little difficult, but
sure, isn't that the whole conversation? Is you are implying that because there's money that isn't being disclosed, the implication is that we can't trust what they're saying, and that there's something.
Well, no, I was trying to explain. I was trying to explain, right? Why there's a distinction with being paid by a program is the distinction here is, listen, if I'm a content creator that's not getting paid, everyone recognizes that there's all kinds of influence in my life. Everyone knows that I might be influenced by my mom's opinion. I might be influenced by the place I live. I might be influenced by the audience that I have. But
right.
when
It's
you
authenticity,
keep it secret
right?
that you are getting paid, that there's a fraudulent element, not necessarily legally fraud, but there is a fraudulent element in that you gained your clout, you gained your followers, you gained your influence, and all of these opinions are based upon the hard work that you put in to your channel by yourself, because no one knows that, oh, I don't know, maybe you did, maybe you didn't get botted by some account.
Right.
But
wait,
like,
Fabian, look, you've hit it perfectly. This is the whole crux, right? Like, okay, so if you say chorus helps me out and you don't say anything about money, would that dispel the notion that you've done this all on your own?
Yeah, I mean, it would dispel the notion that you've done it on your own if you say I am a part of chorus.
Right, or like specifically, like I've said in the past, I haven't disclosed the exact amount, but I've said Progressive Victory helped me with this video, right? They helped me out here, and well, they actually didn't give me any money for that video.
You see YouTubers do ad reads all the time. They don't say Raid Shadow Legends gave me this.
But the ad read is very
money.
explicit. This
but
is a different story. Yes, they're like paid
right?
for by. Right. Like, yeah, this is sponsored by.
If in the video description it said I'm an affiliate of Chorus Media, then people have the ability, right? Like, this is kind of the
right. So, but the question about the whole article then
one
is,
of the principal
it's not about fraud.
fraud from.
No, it's this about this, because you were you were right on point when you said it's about the authenticity, Fabian. So is the contract written that way because you think that Chorus is like, I don't want these people to look like they're getting paid to have these opinions?
Nobody fucking knows. Nobody knows
the
exact implication behind these contracts.
So, I think you're right. Nobody knows the exact reason why that could be. I think part of it potentially could be an argument that they're supposed to be a non-partisan organization. If they disclose everyone as part of it, they're all Democrats. That might cause issues for them. There's a little bit more of a schizo theory, though. Ultimately, political advocacy done with, by the way, I'm sponsored by this kind of like political organization, is going to be less effective, even if I couldn't put a number on it, than political advocacy without any of that disclosure, right?
Especially if you're an American
There might be a
Girl
person
Doll
who watches
channel
that and thinks,
you know what I mean?
You're only saying this because you're getting this money. You're only saying this because you're part of this organization, right? This just seems like trivially easy.
Right. So I don't know if you've ever read any contract from any sort of these things, but it's very common to say, hey, don't go around sharing all the information about other people or disclosing how much you're paid or all of these things because of what Hutch was talking about. Hold on. Because of what Hutch was talking about with the like doxing or people being exposed and all the attacks that we're seeing right now. So it seems pretty clear to me.
That's not the claim.
It seems pretty clear to me.
Is that you're not supposed to discuss that you are a part of the program.
One sec, let me
that
finish.
is the claim. That's the issue.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to dox other people that are working or give out information about what goes on in the background. The claim, right? You can say the claim is wrong, or you could say Taylor Lorenz is lying, or that the contract isn't the same contract everybody else had. Those are all rational arguments. But the claim that you're meant to contend with is that they say, don't tell people you're in this program.
Just to my side, okay? Can I just have a quick huddle with like my gang? Is anyone here making the argument that the people receiving money have to like disclose their entire contract, the amount that the amount that they're paid?
No.
Any of the other people are in there? They need to disclose if they know like who's running this. No, the internal.
No.
Just probably the fact they are getting paid, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Just kind of. Okay, cool. Just thought I'd clear that up.
Okay, can I talk now?
Please.
Okay, so the idea that they're asking you not to disclose potentially this pilot program, if the implication of the article seems to be that they're doing this because they, like Dicker said, ruin the what would otherwise be perceived as an authenticity thing. Despite the fact that lots of people in Progressive Victory were disclosing their like connection to Progressive Victory, or even like monthly stipends from Progressive Victory, they're not losing that authenticity because they're disclosing it, but they're still getting all these attacks of you're bought and paid for as this Zionist, Hosbarist, like, collection fund. So it's part of protecting potentially the smaller creators in this program. And two, all these other bigger creators and some of the smaller ones were saying, I'm part of Chorus. Chorus is helping me out. Now, whether or not they're saying financially or not, I don't have the exact video, but the point is that it's like very clearly part of this. And this incubator program, if you're calling it a distinction, like, yeah, the secret program where they pay you money to figure out how to expand your reach, and somehow this is like the shady part and not like, hey, they're paying you to not talk about certain issues, which is like kind of what the implication of the article is, seems ridiculous to me. Like,
wait, where does
I'm a content creator. I get zero money from any outside source. I get death threats all the time. Talking about doxing and death threats is like a safety issue for online political commentators is a fucking it's an aside. It's a subversive, bad faith bullshit thing that you keep trying to
I don't think it's
push
bad
in
faith
there.
to worry
Because
about.
you
Like,
know
on that
that our
disclosure.
issue is whether or not it is transparent that these people are being
I
groomed, given opportunities,
agree
and funded.
that the transparency should be there. That is something I said at the beginning.
Okay.
I prefer if people disclose if they're getting large sums of money, especially if it's from a political organization. But the thing I'm keep trying to add nuance to this is, one, it's an incubator program that is not, hey, here's what you should do. It is, here's how to be better at content creation. Now, obviously, if there's a wink, wink, nudge, nudge, this is only picking Democratic people or people left of center. Like, this is like without a question. But that's part of the.
Do we
the
think that's
fucking,
bad? Do we think it's bad?
I
that
don't.
they
I don't
only-
think that's bad.
Okay.
To add for
Does-
left wing creators, I don't think so.
If you, yeah,
I mean,
like if
I
you
don't
had
think
a,
it's. I don't even think it's bad so long as it's disclosed. I'm worried about the fraudulent element of people that have gain these large audiences because they are astroturfed or not, and so people.
But that's the thing. It's not
like,
astroturf. It's not like they're buying bots or they're like saying, "Hey, this is
mean,
how you lie to your audience to grow." And like I
don't
said,
know.
as someone
I mean,
who's
like,
just now trying to do something
no
like
evidence
this,
on
super
it, though.
they're
fucking
teaching
common.
you, "Hey,
but there's
this is
no
how
evidence
YouTube
yet.
algorithms works. This is thumbnails that catch the eye. This is me. I'm the mentor, David Pacman. This is why I have millions of subscribers, and this is how you can do it too." Not, "Hey, like we're gonna dump a bunch of money into like pay people to subscribe to you." Like that's not astroturfing.
Well, okay, first and
Well,
foremost,
I don't think astroturfing implies botting, right?
Right.
Well, astroturfing implies some sort of like inauthenticity of like fake support. Like it's like, hey, we're paying it to look like
grassroots, right?
so
As in these
first and
people aren't like
foremost-
paying their bills
first
based
and
on money their
foremost-
audience is giving them.
we can call
Yes,
Bernie
maybe
Sanders
based on
campaign
money.
Okay,
grassroots.
Yeah,
all
so
of you,
first
all
and
of you, you're
foremost-
doing it again. You're doing it again. Let's go, Fabian. Fabian, finish your point,
Yeah.
please.
So first and
I gotta go
foremost,
pee. I'll
what
be
you
right
were
back.
doing is you were saying we're going into the domain of unknown, right? We don't know whether or not they're botting accounts or whether or
No,
not they are
come
botting
on.
accounts.
Let's not do. We're not doing conjecture here, bro. Let's stick to what's in the
Right.
reporting or like
No,
a
no,
reasonable inference. Okay.
Hutch, be quiet. You're only
Hold
here
on,
because
just
of
real
your
quick,
numbers.
Fabian. Do you
don't
have any
anything
evidence
meaningful
that
to
they are
say.
being botted?
Why are we talking about botting, bro? What does that have to do with anything?
Because again,
No, I
we
brought it
don't
up.
know whether
No, he
you
brought it up.
brought it up.
Like, no, you called it
I said- yeah.
astroturfed, and now you're debate broing yourself into like, well, we don't know that they weren't botted. Like, let's just stick to what's in the reporting.
botting is super common amongst large
There's
accounts,
no indication
right?
of this in her reporting or anywhere. You're like,
Yeah,
why are
that's
we
not,
talking about that?
I know you don't because if you just
We
let me
don't know
finish-
that they weren't paying Google millions of dollars to like boost them in the algorithm. Is that a relevant part of this conversation? Obviously not.
I'll say there's the
It
same amount
is,
of
but I
evidence
don't
in the
think your
article that they're
brain
being
is
botted
capable of following
because
the
they are like
conversation.
paid to take certain positions or change their mind, right?
No,
Right.
no,
What
no,
you are
no,
doing-
no, no, no.
Of course there are.
What
There is
you-
no
Then why
direct
is
what
everyone
indication
accusing
that
them
they're
of
let
being that
Fabian,
will change their
Fabian
mind,
finish your
and no
point
one's
quickly.
accusing them of
Hold on,
bottom?
let Fabian
My-
finish his
my-
point quickly. Maybe he can draw it in.
My point is that the
Quickly.
framing is you are assuming all of the things that we don't know to the most conservative estimate of what is bad. Like it is well within the realm of possibility that there was APAC funding. We just don't have any evidence of that, right? It is well within the realm of possibility that they do bot. This is a common practice in large social media accounts and when people pump money into channels and managers do it so that they can sell the success that they've done. Now, I'm not saying they are doing that, but what you're saying is you assume all of those things to not be true, as if that is the evidence and the facts.
I look
when
at
that's the
any
domain of
evidence.
the
I don't
unknown.
operate in unfalsifiables with zero evidence there. It's a ridiculous point of conversation.
It's not an unfalsifiable.
is it
What you were
possible
saying
that
is
It's
that it
literally
is true.
unfalsifiable. We don't know if they were botting or not. There's zero evidence. There's zero
Oh my God, I'm
allegations. So why
talking
even
to
talk about it?
kindergartners.
How is it possible that there was APAC funding that we don't know about?
Because
Who knows?
APAC can directly donate
Because
to
APAC funds a
1632.
bunch of things. Because
APAC
1630 has
disclose
like
what
their
they-
largest
APAC
donor
has
was
to-
$50 million.
Hang
We
on.
don't know who that
APAC
person
has to
was.
disclose that. APAC has to disclose that spending. They can't just give things
The
secretly.
amount of naivete that people have to not realize
That's not
that
true.
NGOs
APAC has to disclose when they pay political campaigns. They don't have to disclose when they pay a dark money group. That's the whole point of a dark money group.
That's the whole point of dark money. That's the whole reason that
Yeah.
dark money has been a topic in politics for like the last 30 fucking years. That's the whole reason we had campaign finance reform in the 1990s and in the 1970s and under Nixon and in the 2000s. Like your
when you have a
knowledge
look
of
at, like,
politics in
APAC
general
tracker-
is so surface level, brother. Like just
Yeah.
sit out.
So a lot of APAC spending is known because of stuff like APAC Tracker. All they do is they look at like public's disclosures over campaign funds, right? They're not looking at money that they donate to the 1630 fund. That just
And
goes as an outgoing. They don't need to disclose who they're paying with that.
I'm not saying APAC did. I am saying it's fucking hilarious that David Pakman tried to pretend like he doesn't know how to say APAC. He's like APAC or IPAC? I don't even know. APAC, IPAC? I don't know what that is. It's
been
fucking
covering politics
hilarious.
for 20 years, by the way.
Yeah, but has no idea. You know what I mean? So I mean, like there's some evidence to suggest that the dude's such a slimy piece of shit that it seems like he's covering for some funding he may or may not be getting. I don't fucking know, right? But all I'm saying is that when you frame it that these things are definitely not true, you don't know that. I'm not asking you to prove, I'm not trying to ask you to prove an unfalsifiable claim or anything.
APAC could be funding you through super chats right now. We'd never know. It's
That's
possible.
not true. Super chats are publicly disclosed.
I mean, but it's just, they don't have to, hold on. They don't have to publicly disclose super chats. Why would they?
It's literally on
like
the
if
screen,
if APAC was going to give a bunch of money to some people,
bots.
and those people could be super chatting, why would they have to disclose that?
Oh yeah. APAC is a 501c4. 501c4s do not have to publicly disclose. They only have to disclose to the IRS, and the IRS can decide whether or not to redact.
You're right. You're right.
That,
Hold on. Pause. You're right. You're right. You know how I can prove that they're not, or that they at least won't in the future? Fuck the nation state of Israel. Fuck Bibi Netanyahu. I hope you hit your big toe on your furniture every fucking night because that's the closest thing I can say about TOS.
Weren't a lot of the course people saying that too?
Rinyald, please.
I mean, a lot of course people were also coming out pretty strongly against Israel, so I don't know if that would lend towards APAC donating towards the 630 Club. If
it would absolutely. Maybe not the 1630, but it would certainly lend towards the fact that they weren't probably one of the big donors for chorus.
And just quickly, in terms of the super chat thing, like, I mean, they wouldn't have to use the official APAC account, right? They could just use any account.
Well, then,
how
are you influenced then?
No, like,
how am I influenced by
the point?
Are you hold on, Dickers, hold on, just real quick. Are you asking me how am I influenced by my super chats?
No, I didn't say that. I'm talking about the specific organization who's going to be funneling through a bunch of bot accounts.
Sure.
If there's not a relationship there, there's no contract, there's no meeting of the minds.
But
then what's your problem with dark money if you don't know where it's coming from?
I think you were just saying that he could. I think the implication
the whole point of dark money.
I think that
what's your problem?
Of the super chats too.
With the fact that we don't know where it's coming from, but you can't be influenced by it if you don't know who it was, right? It's just money.
True.
Well, no, because dark money is when you meet. Okay, you talk about it. There's a negotiation, and then you give the money. Through super chats, through bot accounts,
not necessarily.
I've got no clue who's sending that, right?
It's not influence, but it's not dark money.
Tag. Also, yeah, that's not really dog money. I'm not a 501c4, but yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, I think the implication that Wick was just saying is that, like, yes, any nefarious organization or organization doesn't have to be nefarious, right? Could be funding anyone through super chats, right? Like, how do we know that you're not actually being funded by them? But you're correct, right? That there's no meeting of the minds, there's no undue influence in that case because, I mean, I have no idea. So, I don't know, whatever.
I would say
Thanks
the
so
point with
much.
super chats makes sense, and I definitely do think there's a level of influence that like a person's community or their audience can have over them. Just through super
Yeah,
chats and
make the
like
whales
monetary
happy.
benefits, especially, right?
Right.
Or even through people doing like a mega lol in the fucking chat or whatever the fuck. But
It's
that's all
about scale,
disclosed.
yeah, no.
That's organic. That's not a kind of a queer kind of like, well, queer. I mean, like odd, unusual kind
We
of
know what you mean.
evidence.
Yeah.
That's what
Super
everyone
chats
has,
are
right?
gay.
No, super
I've
chats
just got one
are
right now.
awesome, and you guys should do it
Yeah.
more.
Oh, and
But-
gay
Ryan
people
is
are
gay as
awesome
fuck.
too. So don't be a homophobic, Wick. Honestly, what the fuck?
Okay. I want to get back to the matter at hand, though. What is? Well, let's just give it to Team Prime right now. I'm going to tell you Team Prime for now. What is? Do you think, like, despite what may or may not, do you have any strong evidence, or what's your strongest piece of evidence that what Chorus is doing is nefarious? Can you just lay that out quickly for me, and then we could discuss?
I don't think anybody's
As
saying
team
that.
leader, I guess I'll go first.
Go ahead.
But yeah, quickly. It's possible that the way the program was practically run, that it didn't actually require a level of secrecy and it wasn't going to kick you out. But from the reporting, there was clauses saying you had to be secret about your connections, and it seems like, from what I've gathered, that people were secretive. That in itself is a problem for me, right? And then on the other hand, it's the dark money, right? That I want to have an idea of who these funders are. Now, I don't think billionaires should exist in the first place, but if you are going to buy into this program, which again, the program itself, right, the incubator in its in isolation, I'm actually fine with. But like, I like to know who exactly is giving that money, because that gives me an idea of what they want to accomplish with that. So yes.
Pretty same answer for the rest of you.
Well, I don't think that they're actually doing anything nefarious, like as a left winger. I think they actually have good intentions, right? They're trying to do something good. And I believe that Brian Tyler Cohen does actually have the best of intentions, okay? I think there's some parts of it might be like insidious, but like out and out like nefarious. No, I don't think so at all.
I think it's also just quickly. Sorry, Scott. I think it's a very much consultant brain, the way this was assembled. Right. This is how a consultant like pitches this to a bunch of big funders. Right. Getting a lot of control over these individuals. And this is how they make contracts in like other like business realms. And they've like taken that same thinking and applied it to the streamer realm. And I think that's what you like get this particular structure. So yeah, and that's causing a lot of friction.
Case, this is like, okay, imagine I'm a multimillionaire and I'm like, I want to fund progressive, causes or whatever, and specifically through influencers. How do I know that my money's going to actually go to the people I want without some sort of contract or organization that's like doing something to find people that align with who I want to give money to?
That in itself is fine, but I'm saying the
Okay.
structure of this, and the levels, the clauses that demand these levels of control, that is perfectly reasonable in most of the realms, right? And but
Yeah, like at
within,
normal jobs. Yeah.
yeah.
But I would
think within-
agree if the clauses, as alleged or implied, are saying you're not allowed to talk about these points because that is anti-democrat, then I would have an issue with that.
When has everyone ever alleged that on this panel?
You don't need to do that.
Where's,
No
where
one
is
on
that
this
alleged
panel
in
is
the
alleging
article?
that. It's very clearly implied by the article. Yes.
No, it's not. I mean,
We're back to this. I don't want to go through the toe the line thing again.
So
there's a reason people are talking about it the way they're talking about it.
So I'll say this, right?
Well, I mean,
research. So I'll say this on the last of the Prime team, right? Research seems to show that roughly 5 to 10% of the electorate is swayed by the bandwagon effect, right? Roughly 5 to 10% of people, if they think a president is going to win, they will vote for that president just because they think that president is the winner. And what I have a big issue with when we're talking about politics, especially in a democracy, obviously, I have issues with democracy, but insofar as that we're in a democracy, when you have people that are being funded or given opportunities and being able to grow their channel, especially I think some of the more nefarious ones are when their channel isn't explicitly political, when their channel is like some reality or makeup brand or some other type of content, and then they're pushing these ideas. What they are doing in effect is they are pushing, they're growing above their competitors that have different political ideas or aren't talking about politics because they're doing a makeup channel, but they're not talking about vote for Kamala. And what ends up happening is what billionaires are paying for is they're paying to have these ideas seem more popular and be a part of the dominant narrative in a dishonest way. They're not saying, oh, this character, this person says, oh, they're being funded or by some organization or they're being lifted up by some organization. When it is secret, there is this assumption that the audience has that these are just the popular ideas. These are just the good ideas that normal people have. These are the ideas that are winning. These are the bandwagon ideas that they take with them into the voting booth, and that small percentage of people in a nation where elections are often decided by 0.2 and 0.1% of the vote, that this money is paying to make a narrative seem like it's organic when it's not organic. I'll tell you, when I first saw that woman that Republicans were accusing of being the DNC's spokesman on men's issues, that Olivia Juliana, I believe is her name, right? I remember I watched her before any of this stuff broke, and I watched her and I said, guys, can you tell from her setup that this is all fake? Like we were all looking, we were like, this keyboard and this microphone and all of the way that she has her office set up is not like someone who's been like in the trenches and does this content all the time. And then this article breaks out and it's like, oh, she's one of the people that's working in this program. She's one of the people that is being given opportunities and given interviews and given mentorship and given these extra things. And so you have this inorganic growth from someone that might not have been popular but becomes popular and is not disclosing how that popularity comes about. That's my big issue here.
Okay. To the other side. Why or
behavioral nudging, sorry.
Sure. To the other side. Team Soy Pill, I guess we'll say. Right.
Hutch is bigger. He should be the team lead.
Fair enough.
You're prettier.
Oh, shut up.
What the fuck,
Why
guys?
is it? Hold on. Let me ask that question before I forget it. Okay. Why?
You're not bad yourself.
Why are these allegations, or why are these clauses that are being alleged, if they're true, not that big of a deal? Why shouldn't we be worried? Why is this being overblown in your opinion? Or why is this being framed dishonestly in your opinion, if you think it is? We'll start with Soy and we can see what you guys have.
Yeah, I mean, clearly, obviously, like I've talked to Taylor about this, and there are very legitimate concerns that everyone on this panel has said about, even Fabian saying like, hey, like this can have influence on you, even if they're not telling you what to say, the money's going to have an influence. I completely agree with this. And that's why transparency is going to be as good as possible. The problem with the article is the way it's written and the way it's implicated. And some of the stuff I think is like directly contradictory, is leading people to this narrative that is, by the way, something that is happening. For example, when the DNC says, we want to spend $20 million to find the like Joe Rogan of the left or the little masculine influencer of the left. This does happen. People are paid to like be the next big thing, but it's all wrapped into this and being turned into this giant kind of like smear against these people who have authenticity, but are now being called shills that are only pushing the party line. I think this is a complete misrepresentation. And so like a very specific example of this is in the contract. There was this thing, and you can look at the screenshot from the Ali TikTok where it's 3 clauses about how to organize talking to other people. The first clause says, if you're going to organize talking to some sort of like authority figure or politician with a chorus tool, you must do it through the chorus tool. Like that's how you do the chorus stuff. The second one says, if you're going to do it independently, you can loop chorus in. You have to loop chorus in. You have to let us know, not we get to approve or disapprove, but just, hey, let us know if you're going to like go talk to Zohran Mamdani and you didn't do it through our tool. The way the article is written says this: many creators express concern because according to copies of the contract, creators in the program must funnel all bookings with lawmakers and political leaders through chorus. Now that's what it says at the top, specifically about the chorus thing. But then the next sentence says, creators also have to loop chorus in on any independently organized engagements with government officials or political leaders. Now, the also there, I think, is doing a lot of weight carrying because it's saying you have to funnel all of these people through this tool and specifically get approval. That's the implication people are running away with, when in reality, you don't have to do that.
false?
You can do something else. No, it is false. You can
That
do
word is
something
never
else.
used, to be clear,
What,
right?
funnel?
No, approve.
What is funnel? Okay, this is a semantic game.
No, I'm just making it
Obviously,
clear.
they're
You're
not
saying
saying
that people
approve.
ran away with that,
The
but that's never
point is,
directly alleged in the article.
It doesn't matter
Just
if
on
it's
that point.
alleged. It's obviously the reason that people, if you go watch the majority of
I
it,
can
go
add
watch the
things to
Vanguard.
quotes, and
People,
then once
no,
it does
it's not
that,
about
it
adding
agrees with
anything.
me.
If a majority of people talking about this in the left creator space are saying, look at these paid shills who had to go through them for everything because of just reading this article, clearly the way it is written is playing into a narrative that is not true, even if it's not technically
So people misinterpret
factually
the article,
alleged.
and it's the article's fault. Okay, got it.
Yes,
This
the
is
way the
political
article is
mudslinging
written is
at the end
pushing
of the
people to
day.
these beliefs.
Yeah.
I
The
can't help it
article
if so
isn't,
many people
right?
are as
People are
stupid
taking
as
the
you.
article,
Like,
and then it's becoming
that's
political
not
mudslinging.
the article's fault.
People are taking the way the article is written to mean something that it is not alleging. Yes.
Yes.
As in, you could write this in a less biased way,
The way-
factually recording
Over.
all of this
Like,
thing.
what the
I
fuck?
don't know.
The way a political
don't know,
message is interpreted
Really,
is
I
super
don't know
important.
how you could. I don't know how you could write this and it not be used by like, I don't know, like super pro Palestine
You're the third
people,
person to
like
say that.
Ben
I
and
really
Bernardo,
should just
in
rewrite
order
this
to like
article more
sling mud at
impartially.
people.
Okay.
Well, no, I'm just
I want to
saying,
hear
like,
from I want to hear
PV,
from
right?
Rinyald, and I want to hear
PV.
from Hutch at the same time. Right. Rinyald and Hutch answer the question, right, that I posed.
Who first?
Rinyald and then Hutch.
Okay,
Go ahead,
okay.
Rinyald.
Yeah, I mean, generally, I agree that, like, for optics' sake, you probably should disclose if you're getting money. I think that just is a better look. But I mean, personally, I never really care that much about money in politics. It's just not something that really sways my opinion all that much. I do agree that the framing of the article was pretty bad. I think if she just wrote an article saying like, hey, you know, they paid these creators to get better cameras and market themselves better, and they didn't disclose it, I don't think that would have been like a groundbreaking article or anything. I think whenever it gets compared to like, oh, the right is more transparent with it, look at Tenet Media, which is like the worst example that you could ever give, or like in the tagline that they gave, like agreeing to restrictions on their content. I think whenever anybody reads that, they assume that there's like approval going through course that just doesn't
Does
exist.
the article allege that?
That's in the
Well, they
tagline.
would read the rest of the article
Tenet
then,
was
right?
It's
good?
in the tagline. It's in the tagline.
No,
No,
the
talking about
Tenet.
Tenet.
You got
Read the
the
rest of the
Tenet thing
article,
backwards.
though.
They said
Oh.
Tenet was bad
Well,
Yeah, they said it was bad.
in the article.
Did they?
Yeah,
Yes,
she's
okay.
like, this
She's
is not. This is
explaining-
not new. She says this is not new on the
okay.
right wing. Tenet did this. She's saying Tenet
Right,
is
but
bad.
she talks about
But even
Daily Wire. She talks.
I feel like
about
even
Tenet,
comparing
she
this to
talks
Tenet
about
is
Turning Point
the
USA.
problem. But I'm
Okay,
saying
but
that
she's saying-
comparing
but
it
she's
to
saying
Tenet
Tenet's
isn't
was
the
bad,
problem.
Right?
Yeah,
Onto
sure.
creators.
Sure, but I think
Correct.
even putting
We
this on
know
the
where
same level
Tenet
is...
Media's
Well,
money came from. We don't know where this money comes
Well,
from.
Rinyald
We actually knew who was being paid by Tenet Media, right? We didn't know it was being funded by Russians, but Tenet Media representatives in the media actually disclosed that they were
Tenet
working
Media
with
was
Tenet
more
Media.
transparent.
So it was
than
actually
this.
more
You're correct.
transparent. Yeah.
Wait. No.
Considering their funding was coming from the Russians and no one knew it, probably not more transparent. But I mean,
Well,
I
I
mean,
just said
again,
that, yeah.
the framing is the framing is all of the problem. If somebody is giving a political message and it's getting hella misconstrued by everybody that reads it, that is a problem with the article. That means that they're not messaging effectively. I mean, that's about it.
You can't write anything to like prevent any bad faith actor from
media literacy on the
misconstruing it.
left.
Yeah, what about
especially in
the
shouldn't
journalism,
major
put-
left
okay?
wing
You shouldn't
pundits
put
in the
agree
space?
to restrictions on their content in the tagline of the article.
They do.
That's what I'm saying.
But they do. They
That's
agree
factually
restrictions
true.
on their
Okay,
content.
when people read
What-
that,
hold
what do
on,
you think
what
they
are the
do you
restrictions
think
on
they're
their
taking
content?
away
I
from
really
that?
wanna know.
The rest of the article and bang.
What content are they agreeing to be restricted?
When they're going to
Probably the
chorus events, they
non-disparagement.
can't explicitly endorse political candidates.
You know why that
They're-
clause is in there, right?
I'm saying that is the restriction,
When
right?
you
They'd
say
lose their
restrictions on their
501c4
content and you're
rating.
only referring to things organized through chorus, no one is ever going to interpret it like that. And I'm sorry, it's
Yeah,
true.
but
People
the
don't
main
really read
purpose of chorus is to get them to speak to politicians and make content out of those interviews, right?
Sure, when
So
you
that
say
is becoming a
restrictions
mainstay of
on
their
their
content.
content, we all know what that is implying, I hope, right? Like
Okay,
well,
agreeing to
hopefully-
restrictions
Someone-
on their
someone is
content,
already,
right?
Hold on.
Okay.
Hold on.
I'll
Let's say
teach you,
someone
okay.
is already.
So
Let's
you
say
read an
someone is
article-
already a large content creator. Okay, and they already get interviews with politicians and government officials. And now, because they go, let's say David Pakman, for example, right? And now this has to be funneled, at least in some part, because that was the big word we wanted to use, is funneled, right? In some part through Chorus Media. That's number one. Number two, if you go to a Chorus event, right, which is obviously an opportunity they gave you, but it is also alleged in the contract, right? Some people may have negotiated different contracts, we still don't know, but regardless, it is alleged in the contract that Chorus has the right to pull that content if it is a Chorus event. So if Chorus is the means by which you start, if Chorus is the means, I'm gonna finish, right? Because Hutch, we know you don't have anything to add. If Chorus is the end of because he hasn't given a single argument this entire time.
Hutch doesn't know what an argument is, Wick. Didn't you hear?
Yes.
Well, he couldn't define one, right? It's basic logic, right? But regardless, if Chorus is, if all of a sudden you're using this program and there's now this new middle manager that helps connect content creators to political and government officials, and then they start putting those events together so that becomes the ease of which you get those interviews, as opposed to DMing 1,000 politicians and hoping you don't get left on red, or hoping that they notice you, and then they have control over that. That is another form of restriction on your content. There are multiple ways in which your content is restricted in some way. Now, if you're against the concept of journalists writing catchy headlines, then I don't know what to tell you. You've hated journalists since the 1800s. Welcome to the Republican Party that doesn't trust the media. But I think that's a bullshit argument.
I need to ask a question real quick.
You're interrupting your buddy. Okay.
Hutch, let me just ask a quick question. Okay. Sure. If I told you Hutch is my elder on the Live and Learn podcast, and he tells me what I can and can't say, what would you think that means?
That he tells you what you can and can't say.
No, only on the podcast.
It's part of a
on the podcast,
like hour-long spiel where you go on to explain how he kind of restricts what you talk about, then it would be on the person hearing that to listen to the other hour, right?
Right. What would you walk away from?
If you want to take this like in and of itself, that's fine. The tagline.
What's the implication? What's the implication
of that? The tagline isn't the article, right? Taylor Lorenz didn't just write the tagline. She wrote an entire article. I didn't say it's not in the article. I said it isn't.
Yeah, and then they said that there are restrictions on content, and then said a bunch of other stuff about what they are and aren't allowed to publish, but didn't allege specifically things. That's just that there are restrictions, but I'm not even going to show you the contract about what it says. I'm not going to tell you what Hutch told me. I'm just letting you know Hutch puts restrictions on what I can say on the podcast. What does that mean?
Well, again, it's disanalogous.
What you can and
because
can't
Taylor Lorenz
he
goes on to explain exactly why they're restricted.
Okay, so you're kind of weaseling out of it. Now, what if I told you
Hutch said,
Hutch told me not to tweet out his phone number? And that is how I wrote about it. I said, Hutch tells me what I can and can't say. Would you say that might be misleading?
Well, that would actually be a lie, because if you say what I can and can't say.
Yeah, you can post other things, but you can't post my phone number.
This is what the right wing, MAGA Republicans have been doing for years, swaying out over headlines. This is where the left is. Champions of media literacy.
It's a coincidence that
go ahead, Hutch, please.
Swaying out over all those left-wing pundits think what they're thinking.
I'm trying to give it to Hutch here. Hutch, go ahead.
So Chorus is a 501c4. There are like legal restrictions on how they can frame their messaging. It's like a certain percentage of the output, the money that they spend has to be dedicated to so-and-so or whatever. And so they have to be very careful about you don't want somebody who's acting in the official capacity as a Chorus creator to go out there and be making endorsements or something like that. It all has to pass through like a strict process. Like this is a restriction, but then when the creator spoke up the next day, it was quite clear that they were scheduling appointments with other politicians on their own time. There was no.
Although Ali O'Brien admits that was in violation of a contract,
there were no limitations or restrictions on the content that they were just uploading on their own time. The obvious implication of that article was that Chorus had a level of control that very clearly was not happening in practice.
Oh, hold on. This is why I pushed back.
The exact kind of level of control, right?
This is why I pushed back against previously, because you're saying, well, she put forth a clause within the article, and that was dishonest because it's not how it practically works. Well, at the same time, she also reached out to all these creators and gave them a chance to make a statement. They didn't, right? And now after the fact, they're saying, oh, this works differently, right? And now you shouldn't believe this article that I refuse to interact with, I refuse to comment on, right? And now it's dishonest because it doesn't show the full reality that she didn't actually get a chance.
Also, what your point is
Let Hutch respond, please.
You would have to ask them why they chose not to respond to that article. I agree that we could have saved a lot of headache if they would have done that. However, I mean, like we're focusing on the wrong thing here. And I think like soy pill, I thought that metaphor analogy you used was pretty appropriate. Like the way that the terminology was laid out in that article very clearly implied a level of control that was just not happening at all. So like the fact that they said that there was restrictions, the fact that she said that there were restrictions on the content that they could put out is technically true, but it's very disingenuously framed. Because
it's not disingenuously framed when you've got the rest of the article there where you can read and it specifies exactly how.
Dickers, Kais just put something. No, Kais, I want to say something that you just said that was like obviously if the article had been written in a way that said this doesn't mean that the people in this program could or could not make specific content on specific topics. You could say that, and that would clarify.
Why would she say that? Hold on. Why would
because that's the fact. She doesn't know if that's the case, and she doesn't want to imply and have people run away with that implication.
Here are the facts. The facts are the clauses in the contract, right? I can pull up the exact clause. I have the wording of the clause, right?
I'm aware.
The clauses in the contract. She didn't lie about that.
So if you are a journalist and you're trying to not paint a narrative that may or may not be true, you might want to clarify this doesn't mean this necessarily.
Go ahead, Prime.
He does.
I can't hear him.
You're not going to run over me. So look, the clauses in the contract, it's there, right? It's not factually inaccurate to put that clause in the contract. In terms of, hey, maybe you need to have a wider expanse as to what is actually happening. That applies if she's given that information. She reached out, right, to a whole list of individuals, right? It wasn't only just like one individual, one small creator to do this. A whole list of individuals. None of them did, right? Maybe they got an email. In fact, I think later on in her companion video, she talked about how these people were told, hey, don't reply to her. That's another thing we didn't even talk about. She specifically said, because she got the information later on, that they were told not to reply to her. So they don't actually tell them the whole truth, right? They don't give the statement. And so she puts forth the facts that she does have available. And then you're like, oh, well, why didn't you do PR for them and say, well, maybe it's not so bad as the contract implies? That's bullshit.
Well, see, there you go. Because now you're talking out of both sides of your mouth and saying, well, obviously, given that this was all she knew, it makes sense to have that implication because the other people didn't comment on that. Now, that's a different argument. If you want to say that, sure, that's part of their thing. But if I sell like the idea that just saying a fact is somehow not going to like do anything wrong and you can't run away with it, it's just so obviously untrue. If I told you, hey, the media, right after this, the median wage of America is $75,000. People aren't struggling. Did you know that 13% of the population commits 50% of the crime? There's a problem there. Like these are things that obviously in context are going to have a lot of different implications, and you need to have like some sort of responsibility, especially as a journalist, to explain those things. Like but if you're just saying, hey, isn't it weird that they had content restrictions and then not say anything past that? Yeah, that's irresponsible journalism. And last thing, obviously she doesn't have to. She has no obligation to clarify that. But you asked, how could you possibly write this more objectively? And I just told you.
Yeah, she did.
I didn't say that.
A quick question.
Someone said, I don't know how else you could report on this without it being
okay. So what I said was there's no way you could have written about this, or it couldn't be used for political mudslinging, which is true.
You could definitely soften the blow. Obviously, everyone's going to mudsling.
So quick question: Do you think most Democrats are like really stupid, or do you think
I think most people are stupid? So yeah.
Okay, all right. So you would say that like if I go through your Twitter or something, right? I'm not going to find you making fun of media literacy on the right because they identify with like Starship Troopers.
No, you'll definitely find that.
How they're all.
I would say right wingers are disproportionately stupid. Yes.
Okay. So would you hold that like so? The issue that I have here is your argument seems contingent upon the fact that even though it's explained and you can understand it from the article, and even though there's a companion video that came out
No. Wait, hold on. Wait, let me stop you because that's not my claim. Let me stop you. That's not my claim. My claim is that if you read this entire article, not just the headline, but the entire article, it makes sense for you to come away with the implication that these people had their content controlled. It is a perfectly reasonable thing for you to think coming away.
Which was true, yeah.
Okay, so I'm sorry. What the fuck?
Okay, here's the question. Let me ask you the question. You read the entire article, and you've come away with the conclusion: these people have been
We're
paid
not allowed to talk about
for
Israel.
Well, yeah, particular talking points, but they've been excluded from talking about particular talking points. Is that reasonable, and is that Taylor Lorenz's fault, or have you had like an intellectual failing there?
That is reasonable based on the way that Taylor Lorenz has written this article, I would say. Yes. Okay. And I would say that people that I respect, like the Majority Report, who read this and came away with that.
Boys. Next time he makes
and came away with that.
First of all, you shouldn't
because he
respect
clearly
Go ahead. No, let him finish.
He clearly doesn't have it.
Hold on, let Soypill finish his point.
Yeah, people that I would otherwise respect on most of their reporting coming away saying things like this, which I don't respect their opinion on this, because I think that no, they weren't not reading enough of the article, but rather the way that the article frames this as some dark money, shady campaign to control what people are saying is very reasonable conclusion to come away with after reading the entire thing.
Okay.
I think
just very quickly.
Hutch hasn't gone in a while. Let's give it to Hutch.
I think we can get at like what me and Soypill, and I'm sorry, say your name again. I can't see your full name. Rinyald. Sorry. Rinyald. Okay. I think we can get to the heart of it in the first 2 paragraphs of this article. Like, I think the problem here is like right here in the subheading. So like directly under the title, it says that they agree to restrictions on their content. Technically true, right? And then in the second paragraph of this article, it says it mandated extensive secrecy about disclosing their payments and had restrictions on what sort of political content the creators could produce. Now, you guys can act obtuse in this moment and just pretend to not understand why people walked away from that article with a really false impression of what was going on. As you say, it is technically true that they agreed to restrictions on their content in the capacity of like acting as a chorus creator. But the subheading combined with this particular language, 2 paragraphs down, very clearly gave a very nefarious impression of what was going on at this organization.
If people walked away from it after the first 2 paragraphs, that's on them. They're retarded.
No, you can read the rest of the article.
Don't think about politics. Emma Vigeland didn't get that narrative from the article. Emma Vigeland got the very specific Gaza narrative.
Hold on, let Hutch finish and you can respond, Dickers, I promise.
Not just like it goes on from there. The rest of the article is very clearly implying something that is like holistically nefarious about this entire program, very clearly implying that there is an extreme level of control going on here. Some kind of like censorship, right?
Okay, Dickers, you can respond, but I also want you to answer my question here is what about this article would, going through it, what particular part of the article would would nip in the bud Hutch's argument here, which would say, oh, this clarifies what they meant at the beginning of the article. This clarifies that it wasn't restrictions on Gaza or something. Which part of the article?
I'll just say that Gaza, the word Gaza was not explicitly mentioned. Like they didn't talk about
Israel, but you know Gaza. What I mean. Like it doesn't have to be a specific.
Well, to the first point, what Hutch is talking about, I completely get this. I can completely get this if people are just walking away from like reading the article after 2 lines and they fill in whatever their pet political narrative is. That's totally fine. Okay, if you read the entire one, you won't get a specific claim about Gaza, which Emma Vigeland made. She's not got that from the article. She's got that from online Twitter and online spaces like that. This is an entire creation of like the pro-Palestinian side of Twitter, which I've said in the content that I've made about it. This is like unfounded. You are just lying about what is contained in here, right? To the second point, I think what they could have done, maybe, is like go on to actually talk about what the restrictions are in the rest of the article. Slew of restrictive clauses in the content, people were concerned about that. The outlined restrictions violate ethical norms. That's about disclosure. Chorus felt restrictive to some. I mean, this isn't what Taylor Lorenz is claiming, right? In and of itself, out of nowhere. This is what creators that herself, the creator that she spoke to, have said about. But the restrictions.
What do you think Taylor Lorenz thinks about the Democrats?
I think she probably supports the party over the Republicans. Wish they'd go more like way further left.
Okay. No, she like literally is explicitly said, "I'm not a Democrat. I hate the Democrats," and is like Hassan pilled insofar as like either
Is
use
she
them to
also a
subvert or let
registered
them destroy.
Republican?
So
I say I'm not a
Was this fact
Democrat. I
checked
hate
by
the
Wired?
Democrats, but then
Was
I
this
vote
over?
for the
Was this just
Democrats.
Taylor Lorenz, or was this Wired
Whatever.
fact checkers, Wired editors, Wired legal
what
team?
I just said, or are you
Yeah,
asking me
hold
if
on.
the
No,
article
no,
was
no.
fact checked?
I'm saying about in terms of what implications are getting for the article, because people focused on Taylor Lorenz, and she's the author, sure, but it's in partnership with Wired.
Yeah,
August
Yeah.
27th.
The idea
and
that
I
it's just
and I've
Taylor
When,
Lorenz
said
when
is
has
like
Wired ever
unfair,
stopped
like,
anyone
I've-
from
Hold on,
posting
hold on,
something
hold on.
with implications?
Hold
Like
on.
what?
Yeah, Prime, then Hutch, and then Soypill.
sure. Well, two things. One, I've been trying to get this in quickly, and this is just how like journalism works. But like
Middle school education time. Editors exist.
I was going to say editors exist in terms of the title and like the sub line, right? Like the writer may not actually write that, right? The editors will like make up something
Yeah.
catchy that might not be
Usually-
that doesn't mean
Usually the title and subtitle is often edited by the editor. It's the most likely thing to be edited, but she
yeah,
still probably
but that doesn't
wrote it.
mean
I
that
don't
you
care.
should necessarily. I'm not trying to say like it will take a Taylor off the hook, right? I mean that's her byline, right? So I mean she has to stand by that article, but I'm just putting that out there. But then also, yeah, I also say that I hate the Democrats, can't stand them, but then I vote for the Democrats, because they're the best party that I have available to me. But that doesn't necessarily mean that she has it out to destroy the party or whatever. And in fact, if it is the case that this group is not like DNC controlled, then it actually doesn't matter, right? What would that matter if she doesn't like the Democrats? It's not DNC controlled, so it's no big deal, right?
Does she even use the word DNC in the article? I don't think she does.
Yeah,
I mean,
don't
say
think
it
so.
directly.
I don't
Go
know.
ahead, Hutch.
No.
No,
Go ahead, Hutch.
So-
not once.
So I want you guys on the other side of this thing to reconcile these two things from Taylor Lorenz. Okay. So last night she had a conversation with Destiny. In that conversation, she
Wait,
said,
Are we now talking about Taylor
that-
Lorenz, or is this still about chorus
hang on.
in the article?
It's
Taylor,
about both.
I
What do
think
you-
it's Taylor
No,
Lorenz
I'm-
on the
I'm
article.
I'm gonna talk about
I think
Taylor
this is
Lorenz.
talking about Taylor Lorenz, yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
gonna
this
talk
is
about
drama
Taylor-
slop bullshit.
But
This
it's
is
Yeah, the
it's a-
author of
Hold
the
on.
It's
article
about-
clarified
it's
that
about-
Hold on,
Look,
listen, all of you
she says
stop.
on Destiny.
Hold on, all of you shut up. I think
Oh
it's
my God.
perfectly okay to talk about the author of the article when we talk about the article.
Yeah,
I
she's
think
talking
it-
about the article
I
in
think
that
that sounds
interview.
like an
Credibility.
ad hominem, as
Anyway,
in
go ahead,
at the
Hutch.
person, but that's fine.
It's about the article.
You have no fucking idea what I'm about to say right now. You think
Go
I'm
ahead,
slinging ad
I
homs?
do,
at
I promise you, but go ahead.
you. Okay, what am I gonna say?
No, I want to let you say it, Hutch.
No, you tell me. You said you knew. You said you knew. Let's hear it.
I'm being a good
The
boy.
appropriate
I'm being a
response
good
is
boy right now.
something
I-
It's
I
going to
really-
be
I
Taylor
really do want
Lorenz
you to answer
talking
that
about how
question.
she
I
thinks
am
there's something
curious
bad about
too.
the Democratic
Dickers,
Party,
can
or
you-
Taylor Lorenz
I really want him to answer that question. You said you knew what I was going to say.
It's
so
going to be
go ahead.
Taylor
Well, what,
Lorenz's personal
Oh,
opinions.
we can
not
demand
explained-
answers? What's an
not
argument,
within the
huh?
article.
All right, he said
We're going
he
back to
gave you an
that.
answer.
What's an argument?
That's going to be
Come
it.
on, what's
Okay.
an argument? You chose-
It's going to be Taylor Lorenz's opinions on the Democratic Party, or Taylor Lorenz's opinions not shared within the article. Go.
Great. Okay, let me get to my point. On the in the conversation that she had with Destiny last night, she said that she actually did not know the rest of the creators that were in the program. She only had access to something like a dozen. She said, we don't know the vast majority of the people that were in the program. That came out of her mouth, okay? How do you reconcile that with a tweet from her on August 27th that says, I can confirm Hassan the Hun was not approached for this program. I didn't see Austin on the list either. And then she says, the 90 influencers involved appear to be primarily centrist, pro-DNC Dems who have not spoken about Palestine, are pro-Israel. Now, how do you reconcile these things? How could she possibly say that the 90 influencers involved appear to be primarily centrist when she herself said last night that she doesn't know the vast majority of the people that are in the program? How do you make sense
Well,
of that?
because she had access to the group chat, right? And so she doesn't know who actually took the contract or who didn't, but she knows the people who were approached. I think she reached out to Hassan in particular, it sounds like.
She said the
Easy.
90 influencers involved appear to be primarily
You're just
centrist,
repeating.
pro DNC. No,
Yeah.
because he didn't answer
I
my
mean,
question.
can you respond to what I
I
said?
literally did.
I've just given you the exact way that
What
marries
the
up.
fuck, Hutch?
You guys are
How the fuck do you?
You're not
how do you-
addressing
Maybe
the
it's
you are
right.
not-
No
Hold on,
argument.
hold on.
You guys are not
Let me translate.
addressing what I'm saying. She
Let
is
me- yeah.
making a
She
claim.
just did.
She is
Oh,
making a claim
fuck
about
this-
90 influencers, and she only knows like 15 that are in the program. How is that not dishonest? And how is that
You know what
not
influence is,
fanning the
Hutch?
flames? How is that not fanning the flames?
This isn't a fucking drama
people
slap
like-
YouTube video. He answered you.
Of the people like Emma Vigland and Hassan Piker speculating.
Hold on,
that
let
these
Hutch
people-
finish his point.
is,
Hutch,
right?
go ahead, please. Finish your point.
He has
How-
no point. It's
how
already been
is that-
responded to.
Stop!
You are children, both of you. Seriously, I didn't interrupt you for the last like 30 minutes. Just let me speak.
Because you have nothing to say.
You can,
Okay.
but
You're
go ahead.
still doing it, bro. How
Yes,
can she?
I'm making fun
possibly-
of you. You're pissing on
Go ahead,
yourself
Hutch,
and then being like,
please.
why are they making fun of me?
bro. Soy Pill, do you understand my point? Are you?
Yeah,
are
it
you?
makes perfect. Wait, guys,
Wait,
maybe
just
you listen to it if I
please
say it.
understand your
Wait,
point.
guys,
Please,
Hutch,
Hutch,
no, you're right. No,
please.
I agree. Hutch doesn't have arguments. Let me repeat it from a different
No,
mouth,
Hutch,
okay?
please just finish the point.
Hutch, here's Hutch's point, okay?
This is hilarious.
Taylor
No!
Lorenz, the author of this article, is alleging that she knew the political alignment of all 90 creators, despite saying at a different time that she only knows the identities of 15 because Chorus did not release all of them. She is saying that
can
the
you give me the
majority of the,
second
let me
quote
finish,
then,
the
please?
majority of those 90 creators are saying things that are pro-Israel and pro-DNC. So the author is alleging, in the same way that we are claiming that this article is alleging, that these people are being paid to push DNC talking points and not talk about Gaza.
The fucking
So I just
leap
want to
you
say,
just
first
made.
of all, off the top, because I was asked, right? I was right. This is about Taylor Lorenz's particular opinions, not in the article. But going on from that, right? Taylor Lorenz knows the identity of 15 of them. Let's just say, for example, I've got a bag. I know there's 90 marbles in there. I take out 15 of them are red. Can I make an inference on what the color of the rest of them are? Yes or no?
Okay, Dicker, she made a factual claim, not an opinion. She said
Exactly.
a majority
She said it
of these
appears.
creators. What?
Wait, Hutch, can you read off the quote again? Sorry, I may be wrong.
She said, the 90 influencers involved
Hold on.
appear
What did it
to
say
be
before that?
primarily
Okay, nice.
centered pro DNC devs.
He is
How
to be
could
nice.
she? You guys cannot possibly believe that she was justified in extrapolating in that way so confidently. She has
Okay,
no
90 marbles.
idea. Like a sample size of like 12 or 13 people.
You're
That
guessing
is
the
not-
implication and
Yeah.
then saying the implication is wrong. It's
Yes,
just
so
you
she knows
arguing
there's
with your
6 of
own
them.
brain.
Right?
How
No,
could
Hutch,
she
there must be
have-
two Taylor Lorenzes. There's the one who wrote the article, and there's this other random crazy lady who has completely irrelevant,
so there's people's
takes on
personal
this
opinions,
thing.
and then
That's
there's
wild.
there's people's personal opinions.
And then what
that
she
they're willing
actually
to put in an
fucking said.
article, overwritten by wise editors, wise fact checkers, wise
She said that the 90 influencers involved appear to be a particular way, how could she possibly opine on that if she hasn't seen like 75 of their Twitter accounts?
What?
Are you-
Because
How
she
do you-
knows 15, and so she makes an extrapolation. I mean, she's quite
cannot
clear
be-
that she doesn't know
you
everyone who's in there, right?
You cannot be serious right now that you think it's
Okay,
appropriate
90 marbles,
for a
Hutch.
journalist
90 marbles,
to
please.
suggest
Okay.
that we can
We've
just
got 90
surmise
marbles in the bag.
the
You
positions
pick
of
out 15,
75
15
people
are red.
on their
Can you
position
make
on
an inference
Gaza
on the
from
color of the
15
rest of the
people.
marbles, yes or no?
This is the most beautiful cope. It's so
It
funny.
appears to be a bag
there's
full of
no
15
way that
marbles.
you guys actually
Ah,
believe
red
this, by the way.
marbles.
Okay.
Hutch, please.
Wait,
please,
can
can I
I
get a
get-
yes
can
or
we
no?
just- can we just finish
this?
Can we just finish this?
Answer the
Hutch,
moderator
let me
right
ask.
now.
Hold on.
I need
Yeah.
a question.
We're
We need to ask
gonna
questions,
wrap
okay?
up in a minute.
I want to
here.
force a
We're gonna wrap
question
up in a
first,
minute.
and then you can ask
Ask
questions.
it.
Dickers,
First, the question
are
first.
you
I asked
agreeing?
first.
Are you agreeing that Taylor Lorenz's comment about the implications of all of these people's views has absolutely nothing to do with her article?
No, she's talking about materials reported on in the article.
Would you say the views that she expressed, maybe her opinion, if you want to call it that, might be at all reflected in said article?
Oh, she wrote it, yeah. Probably.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
That's
Now
all I
ask
needed
Do
your
you
to
think
question.
that was a
Dickers
dub?
wanted to ask a question.
No,
Dickers wanted to ask
if
a
you
question.
can't see past that,
Yes.
I don't have to go past
Ask your
that.
I
question,
did.
Dickers.
Oh,
So, despite moderator bias allowing somebody to ask question first, that's totally fine. So, Hutch, there's 90 marbles in the bag, okay? You pick out 15 and they're red. Can you say this appears to be a bag of red marbles? Yes or no? We're rewriting probability math right now.
No, hang on. Your situation doesn't make any sense when 4 of the people that have been identified in this program were on the record speaking about Palestine and Israel. So by her own math, like a full one third of the people that she covered and knew of from this program had spoken out about Israel. How could she possibly say that it was primarily a group of
is speaking out of Israel a far left position?
You're comparing something like a color to
Didn't
like
she-
No.
Didn't
an
she say
Speaking out in
specifically
Israel
in
a
regard
far
to
left
Israel?
position.
opinion. Wait, if somebody is opining on
She did not,
politics, there's
no.
like literally like hundreds
She
of
didn't
different
talk
things
about
that could have
specifically in relation
particular
to Israel.
topics
Really
on
quick.
it.
No.
Wasn't that
Really
right at
quick.
the end of
She
the
said it
quote?
was
So let me
left hands.
really
Didn't she
quick.
say that right at
Also,
the end
can
of
I
the
just
quote?
say,
So
even
really
if-
quick,
even
so
with that-
really quick.
Well,
No,
hold on. No, not really
Hold
quick.
on.
Not really quick. Let them finish. Go ahead.
You
Yeah,
guys
thank
are
you. So
ignoring
even with the
because
numbers
they
like
did.
outlined there,
ignoring the
like
idea
there's
that
still like
Taylor
a
Lorenz
66%. Wait,
herself
I thought I was
fanned the
responding.
flames of the conspiracy theories that was going on with like
You're arguing
Crystal
against
Ball
Twitter
Okay.
again.
and
Stop.
Assange.
Go away.
You've made
No,
the last,
hang
like,
on.
2 hours.
No, you
Can I
guys.
respond?
Go
No, he
away.
just said a moment ago
I thought-
that all the discussion about Israel and Gaza had nothing to do with Taylor Lorenz. I just read off a tweet from her right now that very clearly demonstrates that she herself fanned the flames of that conspiratorial thinking. And you guys are
Said
just
sense
stubbornly
left hands,
refusing to acknowledge the possibility that she contributed to that really toxic, disgusting.
I think
discourse.
she
just
maybe
real quick
did,
before,
actually.
before
If
you
you look at
respond,
what she
before you
said on her
respond, before you
interview,
respond, I
Okay,
just
great.
have one question for Dick. I'm not sorry. For Prime, you all
I'm
look
not
the same to
sorry.
me. Prime, do you agree with the? Are you on Dickers and Prime and Fabian's side with this bag of marbles analogy? Do you agree with that? I'm just really
Okay.
curious. I want to know if you are.
Can I give
one
my
of these
response
people.
first? Okay.
No, I want to hear.
So-
It's just a quick yes or no. Prime, do you?
No, it's not a quick yes or no because I'm not quite sure. I don't know enough about.
Well, then
I
let
haven't
Dickers
seen the-
explain.
Okay, Dickers, go ahead and explain.
Okay.
I'm curious when he finishes explaining, though, for you to answer that question. Go ahead,
So,
explain. Though, to be
claim
clear,
is-
Dickers, to be clear, they aren't pulling out 15 red marbles. They're pulling out 10 red and 5 blue.
Well, not really. Okay, and that's what I'm going to say. So,
Okay.
being like calling out what's happening in Gaza isn't like a far left position, right? Even a lot of people on the moderate left have called out what's happening in Gaza, right? In terms of, I don't know how severe
people on the right
condemnation have been,
too.
but even if, well, yeah, that's true. Actually, it's kind of across the political spectrum. But anyway, that she's talking. Even if you were just to say it appears to be people who don't care about what's happening in Gaza or don't talk about Gaza. Now that's a stronger claim, and she'd still be right. You found 4 people out of the 15 that have called out what's happening in Gaza. That leaves 11 out of 15 that haven't talked about Gaza. That is a vast majority. That's a super majority, in fact. So she wanted to make an inference and say it appears to be. I mean, I can't believe we're equivalent on this. This is so stupid.
I think it is wildly irresponsible for a journalist to extrapolate in that way.
She's not saying this in a piece. This is in a tweet.
The subsequent discourse that happened, I think she absolutely played a part with that tweet of hers. Like, have you guys gone through and actually looked at all these creators and taken a look? It's not just that they were talking about Israel, Gaza. Like they were very, very scathing in their critique of the Democratic Party. Like, it wasn't just like what's happening in Gaza is wrong. It was Democrat complicity. That's how far these creators were going. And so for her to do that, I think obviously directly contributed to the discourse.
Okay.
Yes,
we are wrapping up soon.
No, Dickers. I've been trying to get in for a while here on this one. All right.
No, you have. I apologize. Sorry.
Hutch, what you are doing right now is you are trying to connect several things via tenuous connections so that you can deeply obfuscate the actual argument that is occurring. Are you giggling at the word tenuous? Like, what's happening? You accuse me of being
It's not tenuous at all, bro.
You're acting like a children at the principal's
This
office.
is a journalist. Why are journalists extrapolating? How do you justify that?
So I thought you were arguing with Twitter, but it seems like you've never been on Twitter. Where I don't know, but on Twitter, a lot of journalists
spend a lot of time on Twitter.
Yeah.
How dare journalists make inferences?
Right. So journalists make
We're not
inferences in state.
We're talking about like extrapolations from a sample size of 12 people, and you guys can't.
And the fact that this is reflected in her article.
Directly synonymous, right?
Some journalists remember 3rd grade. Apparently you don't, because Dickers tried to explain to you how you first learned probability in elementary school and you still don't fucking get it. So shush. Again, what you are attempting to do is via tenuous connections, connect her saying an opinion that isn't expressed in the article explicitly, but is on Twitter where she's talking about this earlier on, right, in the end of August, about the fact that she's looking at a select group of people, a small sample size. Yes, it is a small sample size. And she states that it appears that based upon this small sample size, that there is not this 50-50 split, but rather that there are a lot of people that are silent on these issues. And yes, you're absolutely right. it's in some way, shape, or form insinuating at the nefarious nature of how money in politics and how money influences people when they speak online. But the reason you are engaged in that is that you want to connect that tenuous connection to the crazy people on Twitter by saying that, by her saying it appears, and a statement of fact, and also well, actually it's technically a statement of fact, but it's more subjective in that nature, that she is fanning, quote, fanning the flames of all the bad things, so that you can then connect that to the concept of why dark money is actually fucking good, because it'll protect people from the reactions of that have come post this article, which is the argument you made before. That is why I'm making fun of you, because it's dumb.
The author's tweet to the author of the article. And also, this is, I can't actually say something that I know that is not going to be said publicly, that, and never mind, I can't even say it because I talked to Taylor about this, but this is just so fucking obvious that the person that would say in this tweet would obviously be the implication of the article. Everyone's coming away with the implication of what she said, not in the article, wrote it in a way that is like clearly, okay, all these people came away with this. Oh, I guess they're all just crazy and not, oh, she was pushing to a certain opinion that she herself holds. That's insane to me. I don't know what the fuck we're talking about. Okay?
From the creators that we know, are they or are they not kind of left, center left Dems? Are there any communists, any anarchists?
The Ali person is for sure a leftist. The Angela person was militantly pro-Palestine. Like, she was going so far above.
Yeah, but that's
like
not like a left.
That doesn't mean that she's a leftist.
Further left position.
It doesn't mean she's a leftist.
You don't think it's oh wait, hold on. If somebody says
there are fascists that are screaming pro-Palestine right now.
Somebody says,
like, stop.
If somebody says,
hold on. If I get,
all right.
Let me try. Let me try. I got $100 for you. Okay. And I'm going to give you a statement from someone. You have to guess whether they're far left or whether they're liberal. And the statement that they make is a militantly pro-Palestine statement. And you had to guess. Which way are you guessing to get that $100?
Militantly pro-Palestine is a lot of work for here, right? I don't know if you're a fucking Zionist. And actually, I literally don't know. I'm not saying that you are, Hutch. But, like, I don't know if you're a Zionist. A Zionist might say that, hey, the IDF is committing a genocide that's militantly pro-Palestine. Like, I don't know your perspective here, so and I haven't heard this statement. So if you can tell me the statement, then maybe I can readjust my expectations here. But
just for my answer, means
nothing to me.
Just for me, my answer as a citizen journalist, it would not be up to me to infer, to generalize, or to extrapolate on that question.
Wick, I have to leave. I have a panel right now.
Yeah, we got
closing statements.
Yeah, let's wrap it up. I know you guys got to go. I'm sorry for keeping you a little over time.
No,
let's do closings. I love you all. I don't know if this has been productive, but we're here. Let's give it to Soy first, then we'll go around. Let Hutch have let's let Dickers have the last word. So we get first and then last. So go ahead, Soy, and then we'll.
Yeah, just to recap, I don't think that dark money in politics is good. I'm okay with people trying to stop it. I think people should be more transparent when they can. I'm okay with certain secrecy clauses when it's not nearly so nefarious as this article implies. And the idea that Taylor is like, well, she was just doing some completely unbiased reporting when we saw very clear examples of like ways that we could have cleared this up because we were able to clear it up. She could have written about it very differently. There's reasons that people are coming away with implications that aren't necessarily true and not even technically alleged is because of the language of the article. And I'm not really okay with that. My final thing would be to say, Fabian, if there was a trolley problem and there was a baby and a penny on the other track, would you pull the lever knowing that you'd violate the Currency Act of the United States?
I don't give a fuck about the Currency Act of the United States.
Let's give it to Hutch. Go ahead, Hutch.
Bye, guys. I gotta jump out.
See you later. Bye.
I think the article was written in a way that very clearly gave people a wildly distorted impression about how this organization was structured and how it operated. To Prime's point, I think that's a legitimate grievance, or I think that's a legitimate argument to say that we could have avoided all this if they would have just responded to the article and engaged with her. However, it's nonetheless remains to be the case that the surrounding discourse that popped up after this article and the way that she herself engaged on social media in the aftermath of this article only served to obfuscate people even more, or obfuscate the truth even more than the article itself. And so I think my co-panelists here are being wildly obtuse and I felt like most of this was a waste of time. Thanks, Wick.
Well, some can't all be winners. Thanks for being here, Hutch. Hopefully you had fun at least. Fabian, go
I
ahead.
did not.
Yeah, so I started this panel with a prediction that came 100% true, which is that people would sweep for dark money in politics on the left because the left doesn't have principles. Instead, they just have consequential analysis. So what's right for thee is like what's wrong for thee is somehow right for me. And we saw that Hutch obviously is I don't know that he's necessarily unprincipled. I think he's mostly just not intelligent enough to follow basic logic and conversations. But the other, the soy pilled, I think we saw that. And I reminded you of an analogy. So, or I gave an analogy, and I think I want to remind it again because that's really the big picture. The big picture isn't did she insinuate in a bad way with this specific word appear in a tweet that isn't actually in the article, and therefore that fanned the flames, and therefore I get to make 2 or 3 more YouTube slop videos because I make trash content. Like, that's not actually the problem here when we're talking about politics. What we're talking about is the average viewer, when they go into the ballot box, how are they influenced by money and the donor class? And what the donor class is doing is pumping potentially billions of dollars now. We don't know how much money, right? But we know And Media is trying to pump 45 million in. We know Project Bullhorn, 35 million, Double Tap Democracy, 30 million, Channel Zero that work with the Biden administration is putting in some tens of millions, Project Echo putting in 52 million. Over and over and over again, we have the donor class pumping massive amounts of money, and what they're attempting to do is control the narrative and pick people that have the ideas that are palatable. Just like you see people being safe horny, just like you see people being safe villains in Disney movies, we now have safe Democrats and we have safe Republicans. And those are the people that get opportunities, that get interviews, that get gatekept and get all of these things so that they can be the predominant voices in the space and push down small creators and make it harder and harder for small creators to be able to make meaningful content and do good work, unless, of course, they're pre-approved by the donor class. And that's the real fucking problem.
Okay.
And we didn't want to talk about it.
Okay.
Wick, I have to get to that panel. Can I?
Rinyald,
I have a panel
quick,
to get to.
quick. Yeah, Rinyald, give us your out.
Okay. Wick, I appreciate you reaching out. Realistically, I don't really see that big of a deal with a lot of money in politics, and that goes for the right and the left. I don't know if that's just a personal thing. I mean, I don't know. I agree. There's probably something to be said about disclosure. I think that probably looks better. So at the very least, we should be doing that. But yeah, I don't know. I think that the article was probably a bad way to get off on it. I think that, the framing of things are absolutely important. Whenever you're doing political speech, you need to take into account how that political speech is being perceived. Follow me at Rinyald on all the socials. I love you guys.
Okay, thank you for being here. Prime Kai, please.